Hey, we're live. I believe we're live. Welcome to Massive Iron Live. It is, what is it? Friday, May 21st. Happy Friday, everybody. We'll be here as long as you guys can tolerate us. If you're new to Massive Iron Live, please post up your questions. Don't be shy. Join in the conversation. Post up your questions on diet, training, nutrition, supplementation. Off topic. We welcome off topic conversation. Alcoholism, cigars, whatever it is you guys want to talk about. So before we get in, just a couple logistical things. If your question does not post, it is not because we're ignoring you. Please make sure to either shorten your comment, because sometimes longer comments don't come through on YouTube, or just simply repost. YouTube can be super fickle. So I'm joined by Robert Shanetsky, the supplement engineer. And before we dive in, Robert, where can people find your sexy self on social media?
The supplement engineer on YouTube, supplementengineer@gmail.com, and supplementengineer.com. I'm really not active on much else other than that. It's just, I have an Insta face, but I don't really use it. So.
Yeah, so I'm going to dive into something personal right here. This sexy picture. I had a client who knows somebody that is selling this, racks and dumbbells.
Damn.
For about $1 a pound. And I'm like, I'm all in. This is a chance of a lifetime for my home gym. So hopefully, unless any flies land in the old peanut butter, I'll be scoring this for the home gym.
Are those up to 80s or 90s?
On Hundat.
The hundo?
Awesome. Yeah, Hundies.
Outstanding.
All the way down to the mini wheats. So
yeah, those are not cheap, especially if you get them brand new. Those suckers are not cheap. So that's a steal, Steve. $1 a pound.
So guys, before we get into the comments, we're down to about 50 units of Creatine Plus. They're selling, it's selling good for a small company. We're selling about 2 units a day, which is good. So we're going to do a reorder here soon, but just want to encourage you guys to, if you want some, get some now, because there could be a delay of a couple weeks while it's out of stocko, El Stocko. So, all right, what do we got here? Stein, hello from Norway. Stein, appreciate you tuning in. And Pork Meat, one of our regulars, appreciate you tuning in as well. Another regular, Giannis. Best squat before COVID, I'm assuming, was 352 at 231. Squatted today, 352 at 205 with much better form. That's some really good steps forward. The form issue aside can set people back on poundage, when we're kind of resetting and rebuilding things. But to drop weight, improve your form, and jump your squat weight back up to that is good. So
good work.
Bree from Singapore, one of my favorite people on planet Earth. And Bree, I got Bree will watch any science fiction movie I tell her, but I got a new book here called The Last Watch by J.S. Dews. And it's labeled as a space opera, but I think it's more of a deep space alien thing. So I'm going to be diving into this bad boy if I can soon.
Educated mother, you, Steve. Let him know you could read. I thought you just got really angry and lifted weights.
Yeah, on the internet, Robert, I'm not actually an editor, so don't tell anybody. Yeah, I like all the assumptions. When you grow your channel, I can't get my damn chair here straight. When you grow your channel, a lot of people make a lot of assumptions about you, and I don't talk a lot about myself on social media because I try to keep the content about lifting and health and nutrition. But man, the comments I get, the assumptions I get, like our fairy tales people want to create about you to make themselves feel better. So it's always interesting. Jim Murat, 1-1-0-1. Hello from West Chicago, Illinois. Do you ever make your own gym equipment? The last thing I made for my gym was a box, like a pretty damn sturdy box squat setup, and that thing got to know my ass really, really well. It was built. It's probably still. I mean, I built that thing sturdy out of 2x4s and all kinds of good stuff. So
Yeah.
outside of that, not really. I have clients that do it, but I don't have time. I just don't. So how about you, Robert?
I have never really made any of it. Everything I've gotten has been either used or on a very, very steep discount sale, like my power blocks. I don't know. They're going for like $1,000 right now. I got them for 300 when a fitness store when we were living in Louisiana was going out of business. So and that was over probably close to 8 or 9 years ago now.
I'm gonna
But there's this.
give you guys a life lesson. Like when you're in your 20s and your 30s and things are rising in your life, you like build stuff and put in drywall ceilings and paint stuff yourself and do your own yard work. And then you hit 50 and you're like, fuck this shit. And then you hire people to do your lawn and you're like, I don't feel like doing that. I'll hire a plumber. That's
It's the
kind of
opportunity cost. I mean, I used to cut our grass and everything when we lived in Louisiana, and then after a couple of years, it's pay somebody $30 to do it, or spend an hour and a half of my time. I'd rather spend the hour and a half with Sandy than and just pay the $30.
Well, I had a lawn that was only 2.25 acres. When I was my previous marriage, and it would take me 2.5 hours to cut the lawn because there was tons of trees. You'd have to go around the trees, lots of little hills and dips and curves. And then you'd have to get out the old weed whack-a-rooski. And man, it was 4 hours nearly every weekend. You just get over it a little bit.
Yep. Especially when it's 80-90% humidity and 98 degrees outside.
All right, Darren Vest, any recommendations on balancing and running and lifting? Currently, I strength train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and run Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Just not sure how to manage intensity and volume. Well, with that setup, that's actually a really good setup. On Saturday, you can do a longer run. So what I mean is longer runs on Saturdays, I didn't schedule distance. I ran as far as I felt like. Like if you're feeling really good, go do an extra half an hour, 15 minutes. But that gives you recovery time from Saturday until Monday. So I like that setup. I would use Saturday as your long day. What I mean by that, let's say you're running 30 to 45 minutes Tuesday or Thursday or whatever happens to be, 20 to 30. On Saturday, it'll be a little bit longer, maybe 45, maybe an hour. And you could just leave it open-ended. I'm going to run a little bit longer if I feel like it. So that's a really good setup. I just mentioned to my wife like 20 minutes ago how running and lifting can be difficult recovery-wise. So you kind of have to make sure you crush your food intake. Like you can't mess around with your food intake. You have to be very precise. I'm super precise. Yesterday, I'm actually building my strength back up right now. There are some things I've neglected over the past 2.5 years of running, meaning like shoulders. Shoulders were always like I'd get in my chest workout, I'd get in my back workout, I'd get in some leg work, but shoulders I'd not do as much. And I'm starting to get that back. So as I'm pushing more, it becomes harder and harder to recover. So nutrition just becomes more and more important. Just hydrate. Try not to run before leg day. So it'd probably be a good idea to do leg day on Monday, squat day on Monday. You could also run Tuesday morning and then squat Wednesday. You should be fine. But other than that, you got everything pretty much nailed, Darren. Training 3 times a week, running 3 times a week, and having Sunday off to just sit on your old butt. That sounds perfect. And I got a lot of clients, Robert, that do martial arts and training. And I would argue the martial arts is more strenuous than the actual running. So it's about the same thing, 3 and 3.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of depends. I was just speaking with my brother on that because he's trying to get back into the swing of things. He's got 4 kids. He's been working at home this whole time with having the 4 kids at home with his wife. So we were going through kind of just like a little training assessment call yesterday, me and him, and we broke it out to basically what Darren is doing. Like 3 days of the week or 2 days of the week on his non-lifting days, he's doing punch and kick combinations on the heavy bag, harkening back to what we did in our younger years with Taekwondo. So yeah, just balance it that way. And I would say it depends on the style of martial arts as how heavy it's going to hit into your recovery. So from a lower body intensity, if you're doing a very kick intensive martial arts like Taekwondo, like we did, yeah, that's going to work your hip muscles and those stabilizer muscles and some of those weird little funky spots to a certain degree, and will definitely hit overall systemic fatigue. Do I think it's maybe as hard on the lower body as maybe jogging would be or running? I don't know, because I don't do enough running to actually know how much it impairs your ability to strength train the legs. But from Taekwondo, it doesn't really seem to do that. It's more of like a systemic or just an overall body fatigue, not necessarily a muscle weakness kind of thing.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is if you feel a little bit of fatigue mentally, physically, or you have a battle scar from martial arts, which is unexpected, just don't panic. Just do what you can do, because over the long run, consistency is super important. And don't do more than you can do on a given day. Live to fight another day. All right. What do we got from Cody? Hello from the Philippines. Hello, Cody. We appreciate you tuning in. Hope the weather is good your way. Bree, thoughts on L-carnitine?
L-carnitine, it's a vitamin-like substance that's naturally produced by the body. It's also found in red meat, hence its name carnitine for carnivore and all of that stuff, carnivorous. So it is a compound that facilitates the transportation of fatty acids into the mitochondria. So the long-chain fatty acids can't make their way into the mitochondria without using the taxi service that carnitine provides. Provided you're eating an otherwise healthy diet, you're not a vegan, you're not going to be deficient in carnitine. So the average individual doesn't really need to supplement with L-carnitine. There are a few studies showing improvements in cardiovascular health, specifically from L-carnitine supplementation at 3 grams per day. Regular L-carnitine, though, has really poor bioavailability. It typically needs a carbohydrate. It needs to be taken with, like 40 to 80 grams of carbohydrates is what they've shown in the studies to be using. That being said, I'm not a big believer in L-carnitine for fat loss or muscle building for the average individual, the average healthy individual, metabolically flexible individual. If you're overweight, obese, that's where there are some benefits as far as weight loss and improving cardiovascular health. If you're an otherwise healthy individual and you're trying to do some benefits for carnitine, go for acetyl L-carnitine or L-carnitine L-tartrate. 1 to 2 grams of that in divided doses out the day will improve muscle recovery. L-carnitine specifically, L-carnitine L-tartrate specifically will help reduce muscle damage and accelerate muscle recovery. And then acetyl L-carnitine supports energy metabolism in the brain and boosts mental energy, neuronal excitability. And it helps scavenge some of the oxidative stress and beta amyloid plaques and tau tangles that can develop, which are known to lead to the progression of Alzheimer's. So I take Alcar 2 grams of that every day just because I like the nootropic benefits of it. I don't think I'm getting any magic performance benefits like from an athletic standpoint or fat burning benefits. It's more of just better brain function, better acetylcholine production, better focus, memory learning, all that good stuff. So for memory and focus, acetylcarnitine, muscle recovery, L-carnitine, L-tartrate. Outside of that, regular L-carnitine.
So Robert, speaking of the brain, did you see this study that was released this week that says drinking any amount of alcohol causes damage to the brain?
I did not. I have not seen that study yet.
Yeah, take a look at it. I haven't had a chance to dive into it yet. And, obviously one study is not, one study is not the gospel. It's certainly not the gospel. Alcohol is something that can reduce stress or it can increase stress. So
or creativity.
Yes. But, from a physiological standpoint, the reaction to alcohol is highly individual. But, from a physical standpoint, it can impact us. It could make us feel better, but also impact our, our brain, our liver, or whatever. So I'm just curious if you had a chance to get that.
I need to do that. Plus, the fact that it's on CNN's website and most general news sites. So if you see a study on Fox News, CNN, Google, menshealth.com, womenshealth.com, typically it is a very superficial review of the evidence. Like they're basically just rewording the abstract of the study without going in depth into it. So I would be curious to do that. And plus, you know what? No, it's never actually been studied, Steve. So we have all these longitudinal studies. So chronic alcohol abuse, is bad for the liver, bad for everything else. It's associated with a number of other diseases. But what if somebody has just a moderate amount of alcohol every day, but they're eating an otherwise healthy diet and they're living a healthy lifestyle? Because the main reason that alcohol is so toxic to the liver and everything is that it creates this pro-inflammatory and lots of oxidative stress. And the body has a reduction in glutathione and all these other antioxidants, which combat that oxidative stress. So I'm wondering if somebody eats healthy enough, like, could you almost do, I wish they could do this randomized control trial, but they're obviously never going to do it because it could possibly kill somebody. But give somebody enough antioxidants or make sure they're eating enough like green leafy vegetables, whole foods, supplementing with N-acetylcysteine, milk thistle, all these other good things that have some really potent antioxidant effects. I wonder if that could, like neutralize the effect, like the negative effects of alcohol on the body, provided you're within a reasonable dose, like 1 to 2 drinks a day.
Well, there's so many things that can benefit the body and benefit the brain. We also have the issue of like dehydration, like when you wake up with that headache. Whenever I drink, I make sure I pound water before I go to bed, because if not, I wake up in the middle of the night thirsty and et cetera. So there's even minor things like that you could do to combat, said
negative effects or anything.
All right, what do we got? Andreas, hello from Austria. And Cody, is it possible for an intermediate lifter to have a stronger pendlay row than his back squat? Absolutely. I got my pendlay row up to about 405 by 5 at its strongest. And there was a point where I got my squat to 405 by 5, and it was stubborn for about a year. Because I was there's like a point in squatting where I got up to like 400 where my max kept going up, but my 405 by 5 was not going up. Mm-hmm. So my max was creeping up to 450, 500, 550, 600, 650, and my squat was still at 405 by 5. So yeah, anything's possible. Some people are just stronger at other lifts. The back has a lot of potential for strength. So definitely possible. And the squat, it's not as easy of an exercise as we would like to pretend it to be. I mean, on the internet, it's like a magical fairyland where everybody should squat, and squat is the best exercise, and everybody should be squatting. And it's really this simple. Just use this one only form of squatting style, low bar, and blah, 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 blah. And you'll be fine. And it's not like that at all. The squat is I would argue it is the most highly individual lift. And a lot of people are going to use it and not going to get a lot of quad size out of it. A lot of people that are using it probably shouldn't be using it at all because they fold like a lawn chair, and it's just not good for them. So
there's a couple of people in the neighborhood. They've built out home gyms, and you can see them open they have their garages there, and they'll be training. When I'm walking through the neighborhood, you can see them trying to spot each other and lift. And I've seen a couple of different people trying to squat over the past week and a half. And like they're doing the whole, like, it's really cringe, and they're doing like this little half rep thing, and you hear the other guy screaming, you got it. I'm thinking, you want to go up and just say, please unload the bar. Let me show you how to squat properly. But then you don't want to be the asshole that's, giving unwelcomed or uninvited advice. And so it's just, they're going to snap something or hurt themselves or do something. I'm just, oh man, it's tough. It's tough when you see somebody that's not doing something properly and could be setting themselves up for injury.
It's hard to coach it because over the internet, because a lot of times a lot of the coaching I do is deprogramming people.
Yeah.
It's almost like, and I'm not saying it's one coach in specific, but there's so much information, so much conflicting information. Some coaches out there like, this is the only way. And you see things like people will hyperextend their lower back, throw their hips back before their head moves down, and then try to squat. Like we still have to have an understanding of physics and the impact that each small movement has. Like if your head goes down It's going to put more stress on your upper back, your lower back, and you're putting yourself in a leverage unfriendly position. If your hips go back before your head descends at all, you automatically decrease leverage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So,
yeah, and another big issue are like a lot of these home workout streaming services. You listen to the trainers on there, and like this is something just speaking from personal experience. My brother and I got started doing P90X, and Sandy did too. You listen to the way they're coaching the leg workouts. It's okay. Put all of your weight into your heels and sit back like you're trying to sit into a chair. So there's even these online streaming services are teaching improper squat mechanics, even though these people are supposed to be certified trainers that are doing this. So they give off the impression that they're professional trainers. So
I would say 90% of these, what I call super trainers, just have this amazing body and this super amount of energy and this super work ethic and the super ability to stick to the nutrition. 90% of them are idiots when it comes to exercise form, like literally, functionally, like they're doing everything right because they're a perfect example of working hard and eating hard. And they're doing a lot of movement and they're getting stronger and they're doing all the basics. But when they'll try to teach something out of their wheelhouse, which is exercise execution. And you're like, please, baby Jesus, save the people watching this from destruction. So, all right. And look, I just saw a female fitness trainer that's 60 and looks freaking spectacular, like spectacular upper body. And I saw her teaching the deadlift this week, and I'm like, oh my God, stick to your lane. I mean, literally stick to your lane. You're going to get somebody hurt. My TRT clinic recently suggested L-carnitine for energy. That sounds like they're trying to sell you something. If they're selling something to you, it's probably super marked up. I hope they're not selling that to you.
Yeah, regular L-carnitine, the average individual that's eating a otherwise healthy diet is not going to be deficient in carnitine. Most of the studies show it's not going to be well absorbed unless you're a vegan, vegetarian, or really old. And those three same populations also don't eat a lot of animal products. So that's why. So maybe acetyl L-carnitine, but you're not going to get like this boom in energy like you would get from like caffeine or something like that. It's nothing like that.
All right. What's going on, John? And Dungeons and Dumbbells, head over to YouTube. Go follow his channel if you get a chance. He's working hard, and he's one of the good guys in the industry. Super small channel, just because he's starting out, so he can use a little bit of love. Ollie, thoughts on Mike Mentzer's low volume and low frequency but high intensity? Well, look, it's the same reason Stuart McRobert and Braun really impacted people and they started to get results. What Stuart McRobert did is take people, the average gym lifter, and focus them on progressive overload and focus them on good exercise selection. So he'd move people to good exercise selection and progressive overload, and boom, they started to see results. And all of a sudden the results were because of the program. The results were because you moved to harder training and progressive overload. So the more you maximize each set, the less sets you probably need to do. There is some research Paul Carter featured this week on rest in between sets, that if you're working super hard, you probably should be resting at least 3 minutes between sets, even if it's bicepticons. And by super hard, that's probably close to absolute failure on every movement. So do I believe that there are some things in Mentzer's training that I would never touch with a 10-foot pole, which is training to failure. I would rather see you get close and do rest pause work, or then do rest pause and drop set work or superset work. There's intensity techniques that don't have to increase risk of injury as much. But if you are someone that is doing fewer sets but making them count with brutality and focused on progression, because Mentzer focused people on progressive overload, then you'll be fine. But just know that there are some parts in that machine that really need to be overhauled. They're outdated. You familiar with it, Robert?
Yeah, that, and I mean, take it forward a couple decades to what Dorian Yates was doing. It's the same thing. It's max intensity, taking things to failure and then using a few other intensity techniques to train past failure. Yeah, it's low volume, but it's also at the same time, it's not only one set. These guys were doing multiple warm-up sets and like prep sets or feeder sets into their one like ball busting rest pause set. So that's what I think it gets lost when people are saying, well, Mike Mentzer only did one set per workout, and that's not really true. They did a bunch of warm-up sets, they did a feeder set, then they did the ball busting set, and St. Dorian did the same kind of thing. So you got to kind of understand where these things are coming from. It's not just he walked in, put 135 on the bench, did it, and then he said, all right, I'm done. It's not like that.
Yeah, I mean, Dorian's, it could be argued that Dorian and some of Mentzer's stuff, the warm-ups were actually pre-fatiguing techniques, because even though you see the videos or the photos of Dorian doing like 245 on Yates or 405 on Yates rows, I believe his warm-ups would be something like 225 for 10, 315 for 10. I mean, there's stuff that is challenging, and not the way you do conventional warm-up sets. A conventional warm-up protocol will involve increasing the weight and decreasing the reps, so you head into the first set is as fresh as possible, whereas a lot of Dorian stuff was not as hyper-focused on that. Each set would have more volume, each warm-up set. So there would be a degree of pre-fatigue built in.
Yeah, exactly.
So very complicated. All right, Stan, I'm starting up Massive 6 these days. I hope that treats you well. I'm actually going to be reworking all the workouts in Massive Iron, all the old workouts, updating them a little bit, and that's going to be my next project. What I want to do is, like, Massive Iron was written 6 years ago, ish. I want to kind of, over the years, you modify the way you program, not dramatically, but like these days, I do a lot of dips and push-up supersets for clients. There's exercise variations that I recommend more now than I used to. Not because what I used to do is bad, but because I think based on client feedback and feedback from everybody, sometimes this might be a better variation. So look for that.
Yeah.
Favorite fictional character and why?
My goodness.
Oh my goodness. Look at all that redness up there. That's what happens when you're running and you get all this sweat and constant scalp irritation. Favorite fictional character?
Superfly for a white guy.
Yeah, Superfly for a white guy. Favorite fictional character, Robert?
Oh man, there are so many good ones. Up there, it has to be Luke Skywalker from the Star Wars expanded universe. The actual it's now the Legends series, since Disney decided to shit on 20 years of post Return of the Jedi writings that were done in the 30-40 novels, this expansive universe. But the real Luke Skywalker that was in the expanded universe was fantastic. A fantastic character arc and all of that, what he did to rebuild the Jedi Order and get the New Republic on and all of that stuff. Awesome. Fuck you, Disney, for ruining one of the best characters in all of fiction. Count Alexander Rostov in A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles is another really great character. Jack Ryan in the actual Tom Clancy novels, not the bullshit that John Krasinski and Amazon Prime have done, because they've butchered Clancy's original works and stuff with a lot of social justice nonsense and crap like that as of late. But the original Jack Ryan character from Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, The Hunt for Red October, in the actual Tom Clancy novels, fantastic character. And then what else? Rocky. That was one of my favorite action movies growing up.
Yeah, Rocky's a good choice.
We'll end it at Rocky 4. We're gonna forget everything that came after that.
Okay, so I'm trying to find mine, and as I'm trying to find mine, he mentions Rocky, and I'm like, Rocky's a really good choice. Rambo, I kind of pulled the plug on that a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, the first two Rambos were good. Even Rambo, just the one called Rambo, the fourth movie they did back in 2011, 2008 was good. Rambo Last Blood was terrible. It was an awful, boring movie. Just skip the entire first hour of the movie and just watch the last 10 minutes. Ripley's amazing. Yeah, she's
So,
awesome.
I mean, iconic. In my world, it's Ellen Ripley. And it's funny in these days they talk about female role models, but there were so many good female role models back then before they were, you know, they weren't force fed to you back then. They were just strong characters, and nobody gave a shit.
Yeah,
And now
Princess Leia was awesome. She was a badass.
we have to make sure we let everybody know they're strong characters and it's like, come on, this isn't new stuff. This has been around forever. But I remember being in 6th grade and we would get the weekly readers where you could get books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you had these when you were going to school, but we had these little leaflets called the weekly reader.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to pick out a couple books, and then like 3 weeks later they'd come in and you were like, this is awesome.
Yeah, Scholastic Book Club is what it was when we were in school.
But we were a lot cooler back in my day, and Alien was this was around when Alien was coming out, and this book is in my weekly reader, and I'm like, I got to get it. We didn't care about the violence or whatever,
right?
This was one of the movies. Like, I love deep space movies where, like, there's an innate horror to deep space. I don't think you can. There are few things in life where horror is embedded into the very fabric of that paradigm.
Yep.
And space is one of them. Because there's so many unknowns and so many possibilities in an infinite universe that anything could go wrong, right?
Yeah.
So this is
actually went back and rewatched the original Alien maybe a month ago, and then Aliens I watched last week. So good, so good.
And it stands up.
Yeah, it does.
It stands up. So, from a deep space movie, absolutely love it. If I'm an old fuck, I'm going to watch this every week and just smoke a cigar and just enjoy it. And I kind of wait. I wait for deep space movies like this to come out, and they're few and far between. And actually few and far between when they're actually really good. Pandorum was a good movie with a lot of twists, and the end was just complete science fiction nerd porn.
I haven't seen that one yet. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, you got to wait around to the end because you think it's like some zombie movie, and then you really get hit with the hard science fiction at the end. So anyway, Ellen Ripley for me. But definitely Rocky from the first Rocky movie. I mean, come on, seriously. Yeah. Absolutely. Any thoughts on Juggernaut AI training? No, it's been forever since I looked at it. Other training systems, I'll give you an honest opinion if I know enough about it, but I'm at the point in my world where I'm focusing on my training systems as much as possible. And I'm not being dismissive of questions like this. Juggernaut is just like, I hate to say it's so 10 years ago, but it was moderately popular 10 years ago. And I don't even know if it still exists, to be honest with you. So I don't know. I don't even recall any of the nuts and bolts. What's going on, Curious? Thanks for tuning in. Romanian deadlift, very stiff hamstrings, can't lower bar much. Tips for better mobility. Know that the Romanian deadlift is not an exercise that it's not a competition in how low you can go. You move your hips back while lowering the bar along your legs while keeping your lower back tight, and you only lower till the lower back wants to break, and then you pop the head up and pop the hips forward. So when you say you can't lower the bar much, it doesn't matter. You lower the bar until your lower back doesn't want to be involved in the equation, and then you come back up. Anything?
Yeah, and you'll, just work into it slow. You'll find your mobility, and this is just me being a technical nerd. Mobilities can be refer more to the joint. I think what you're lacking is flexibility in the hamstrings themselves. But just working the stretch itself. Just take it real slow and easy. And you'll find that the more you get used to the exercise and increase frequency if you need to, you'll find that you'll start to gradually be able to go a little bit lower. But like Steve said, it's not a competition to see how low you can drop the bar. Once you feel a really good stretch on your hamstrings, that's far enough. Then just, squeeze the hell out of your glutes and hamstrings and power back up to the top.
One thing I want to stress is that one of the common mistakes I see in the Romanian deadlift is that folks will try to lower them too quickly.
Yep.
It's in control. I'm going to pop on. This is me RDLing 635 at a Gold's Gym just on a whim. It was one of my stupid moments, but at least I got it caught on film. But let's see if I can actually skip the damn ad here. Was it going to make me watch the whole ad? But anyway,
you can skip ad. There's a little box at the lower right hand side. There you go.
Okay, so the important point here is to watch me lower the bar with control. And you might not think I'm getting, like if you just look at it, from a cursory standpoint, you're probably going to think I'm not going down that far, but watch the far plates and you'll notice they're like maybe 4 inches off the ground. So my point is you can be going lower than you think. It's actually 635. See how close that is to the ground on the far end? And it doesn't feel like I'm going very far down. So go until the lower back wants to break, come back up, and video it because there's a chance you're going lower than you think you are. John, my dad turned 50, and then I ended up doing the house and yard work. He's a smart man. He's like, forget this, I'm done. It's I'm going to pass this along to my son.
Yep.
Sebastian, any tips on symmetry during squat, bench, and deadlift? I seem to unintentionally use one leg more. Everybody's going to have an arm and a leg that are stronger than the other.
Yep.
So control is a key component. Try to control your eccentrics, because if you don't, you can get a little bit more wobbly. On the squat, when you're squatting, think about driving your butthole straight down rather than pushing your hips back. That'll help you stay centered and not twist your hips in the hole. And in the deadlift, think about driving your head straight up rather than yanking on the bar, because you can get all squifty, as my wife would say. So squat goes lower on one leg. Robert, I'm not sure if you've ever seen any research on this. I have not, but my wife is a seamstress, and one thing she notices a lot of times is someone will leave after she hems a pair of pants, and they'll say, I got home and one leg is shorter than the other, the pants. So they want to kind of hit my wife with a jab. Then they bring it back in, and my wife finds that the pants lengths are the same, but their legs are different lengths. So have you ever run into that, Robert? Any information on how many people actually have that sort of condition?
I mean, I would assume it's probably fairly prevalent. I mean, it's not like you're going to have an inch difference between your left leg and your right leg, but could there be like an 1/8 of an inch difference between that, or a 1/16 of an inch? Yeah, I'm convinced my left arm is longer than my right arm, because just when I'm doing like overhead presses, when my right arm is fully over my head, it still feels like my left arm has to go like another 1/2 inch to an inch to get to full lockout or something like that. It's the weirdest thing. I think my left arm is definitely longer than my right, but although we are told we're symmetrical beings and we kind of look symmetrical from the outside, there's actually very subtle differences between the two sides of our body. So it's completely normal. That's why it's important to include some unilateral work, Sebastian, in your workouts, whether it's like a unilateral leg press, a Bulgarian split squat, a lunge, anything like that. Do something to make sure you're addressing that, because it's just inherent in the way our bodies are. One of our brain, the neural drive is going to be slightly stronger to one side. We're always going to have a dominant side and a non-dominant side. So that's why it's important to include some dumbbell work. So for your bench press, if you feel like you're pushing a little bit stronger with your right hand side, then make sure you're doing dumbbell pressing in there, or some other kind of unilateral thing where you're going to get a little bit more activation from the left pec on the left pressing side.
Yeah, and also don't be under the false impression that you can fix everything magically with weights, because imbalances aren't generally fixed with weights. In general, they're not fixed at all. If one side is stronger than the other, right? and the gap is like this, and you're weak, what's going to minimize that gap is getting a lot stronger, because it might be a 25% difference when you're weak, but a 1% difference when you're strong. So
Correct.
we got a special guest in the office here. It is Mr. B. Butters of Butterville, also known Bubba Sausage, also known as Buddy Pal. I call him Buddy Pal. See, he's a commando. We let people know that he's not a girl. He wears his commando soldier outfit.
Yes.
He's ready for Memorial Day. He is a true soldier, an action figure in real life. And,
there we go.
I'll tell you, if you've never had one of these guys, they're the funnest pets I've ever had. They're just full of life and just ridiculously entertaining.
So sweet. You're such a sweet boy, aren't you?
You're gonna make Peanut jealous now.
Yeah.
Yes.
You mind getting me some more?
That?
Yeah, please.
Some energies?
Yeah,
Happy juice.
Thank you. Between the heat
There.
and the
Open.
no, that's okay, and the allergies and everything else, it's like, man, my eyes are like raccoons. What do we got next? Why do drugs when you can mow the lawn? Hank Hill, one of the century's greatest philosophers.
Agreed.
Any recommendations for high creatinine levels? All of the health factors are great.
Yeah, great question, Justin. So a couple of things. If you are somebody that trains regularly, and I know you've been posting on here and listening to me and Steve, spout off nonsense for quite a while now. So a couple of things. Protein breakdown in the body, lots of strenuous resistance training can lead to higher creatinine levels, as will creatine supplementation will lead to higher creatinine levels. If everything else is normal, then the elevated creatinine is not something that I would be inclined to believe is something to be worried about. It's just a byproduct of lots of heavy resistance training and regular creatine supplementation. So that's why it's important to tell your doctor, hey, I'm using creatine. And if your doctor knows halfway anything about nutrition and supplementation, he should be able to realize that, hey, taking creatine can lead to higher creatinine levels. It doesn't mean something's inherently wrong. It's just saying, hey, you're taking creatine and you're working your ass off in the gym. So, that's provided nothing else is out of whack on your blood work, then I wouldn't believe it's anything to be stressed about.
We're going from red to green. Today, Robert, we started with purple, and we went to red, and now we're moving to green. Friday is my splurge day, folks. I go crazy, and I go to the gas station and get 2 flavors of Monster I don't normally have, because I'm revving myself up, getting lubricated to handle Robert, if you will.
Man, I didn't realize I was that rough of a...
Yeah, rough soldier. He's a rough vixen. So, yeah, that's my Wild Friday. John, I'm strength training every day, but Thursday wrestling for 4.5 hours a week, and want to get back into running every day. A lot of stuff on your plate, but you're young, and you can do it as long as you just keep opening that mouth and inserting food. I did a lot of activity when I was young. I mean, nonstop. Baseball, basketball, lifting, running. I was just nonstop. How should I go about that? Slow and steady. I mean, you're doing a lot right now. You don't want to do cardio before strength training that day unless it's like maybe at least 6 hours before. Yeah. Is that fair, Robert?
Yep.
So what I do is I strength train first. That's my priority, because I want to look sexy with the SEXA. And then I do, running afterwards, so what I normally do lately is I will strength train, and then I'll get some of this in because I'm on a calorie restriction. I'll get some protein in. These are actually good because they kind of fill your stomach up for a while. You feel full for at least an hour, and then I'll go out, and I'm driving to the trail. So by the time I get to the trail, I don't feel like super hungry or super bonked, if you will.
Yeah, and one other thing to keep in mind is that we a lot of the times we say that you can probably work out on a fasted stomach, and nutrient timing isn't all that important. But if you go through and look through the research, when you're doing 2-a-days, you're gonna want to get some proper post-workout nutrition. You want to start dabbling a little bit more with nutrient timing. Have some fast digesting carbs after your first workout if you're going to be training later in that day, because you want to get that glycogen replenished. So there's a sliding scale to nutrient timing, when you should have it. Is that post-workout shake really necessary or not? And there's always context to everything that we're talking about. So for somebody that is very highly active, and quite often you're doing 2 types of strenuous physical activity in the day, start playing around with some nutrient timing. Start having some fast digesting protein and carbs after one of your workouts, so that you're properly fueled, and make sure you're eating every couple of hours, every 3, 4, 5 hours, something like that, to make sure you're properly fueling your body and supporting all the recovery and growth processes.
Yeah, John, a lot of this is pragmatic. It has to be, like nutrient timing, the science of nutrient timing also has to be intertwined with the pragmatic side. Like if you're exercising, when I'm running for long periods of time, I have to eat every hour while I'm running, very minimally, but I have to eat every hour. So I keep that energy level up. One thing I recommend for clients that are doing running, I'm having more and more clients running and lifting, is if they're running after lifting, I have them eat some simple sugars, fast digesting carbs immediately when they're done strength training. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You could crush a Little Debbie zebra cake. Those are pretty easy to crush. That's what I actually take when I'm running, Robert. It's a Little Debbie zebra cake. You know what they are?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're light. They're super easy to eat. It takes like 2 seconds to gobble it down, and then you got some simple sugars in you. There's a lot of protein bar options out there that contain a lot of simple sugars, and generally I don't advocate them, but you get your protein, you get your carbs, and you're ready to go. So have you ever been hanging out with Sean? I used to talk to Sean a little bit in DMs on Instagram, and I get along with Sean a lot, but I think Sean, is he in Hawaii? I forget where Sean.
He's on some island
or some weird place. Where I forget. I don't.
Yeah, he's on some island.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just honestly can't keep track. I know Jeffrey Verity Schofield is in China, but I can't keep track of where everybody's at.
Yeah. I reached out to Sean to get him on the podcast, and he said he was busy with some projects at the time.
Yeah, I like.
But hopefully, I can need to hit him up again and see if he's free or now, because that was probably back in December or January when I initially contacted him, and then I reached out to your boy at Gorilla Mode, since we always get questions about him to come on the podcast, and I've yet to hear back. So we'll see. Yeah,
Sean, I like Sean a lot. I have a lot of respect for him, but Sean's like a squirrel. Like, in Rocky when he's trying to catch a chicken, I'm going to say, fuck that shit. Try to catch a squirrel. That's Sean Nalawani. So, Mike Oxlong. Hello. What's going on, Mike?
Is he in Fiji? I think Fiji maybe is where Sean Nalawani is.
Remember, can riding a bike improve mobility? Lifting is, people talk about stretching, Robert, but lifting is weighted stretching, right?
Yeah, Schoenfeld just had that study that I forwarded you probably 2 weeks ago now. That resistance training with proper technique, proper form, and all that is as effective as stretching is for increasing flexibility.
Mobility, though, if you're not obese and not like hamstringed because of your weight, you might want to try something like yoga. Just if yoga bores the snot out of you, go to DDP yoga. I like DDP. My wife loves it. He's just a good guy, and it's just really, really simple way to dip into the pool.
Yeah, I wouldn't say riding a bike locks you into that fixed position. If anything, I would say that's probably counter to increasing your mobility and flexibility, because you're locked into that position for so long.
Yeah, short bursts of running aren't going to do anything for you. No. It's just a repetitive, motion, just constant repetitive motion. The only really mobility work I get when running is tripping and falling. I do that like every run, because out on the trail, there's some of the people that do the trail engineering, for lack of a better way of putting it, are idiots. Like, there'll be a bush in the middle of a trail, and instead of pulling it out by the roots, they'll just chop it off with a little nub. So you'll be running along, and there's this nub that's like my thumb sticking up in the middle of the trail. You can't see because it's buried in leaves, and then you kick it, and you fall straight on your ass, which happens once a run. Thank you very much, folks.
Can you get Theota to videotape that next time it happens? Just have her run permanently with the camera on. I want to see.
We got a lot of running footage in the documentary, so I'm sure there's plenty of it.
Awesome. I would love to see that.
Bree said, thanks for answering. You're welcome, Bree. Richard, as always, love the info, guys. On RDL, should I keep my knees locked or have a slight bend? Slight bend to start, and as you descend, it's okay for that bend to increase a little bit, but you don't want to be squatting. There might be a natural change in that bend, but you don't want to force it into position. And on the other hand, you don't want to squat. Does that sound reasonable, Robert?
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
All righto. The Gray Rhino, who has pimped the Massive Iron shirt on, you know what? That reminds me. Best question wins a shirt. Okay. And Gray Rhino won it 2 weeks ago. The guys who won it last week, I was a little slow getting it out, but I finally got them out. So best question wins a shirt. Thanks for doing this. Do test boosters work?
What's your definition of working? There are a few ingredients shown statistically to improve testosterone levels. Most of the time, this comes as a way of lowering or improving an individual's cortisol response. So testosterone and cortisol kind of run on opposite ends. So when cortisol is really high, tanks testosterone and does a bunch of other bad shit to your body. If you can modulate cortisol, that's why a lot of these things have things like ashwagandha in them, which are adaptogens that improves the body's cortisol and stress response. So then you'll indirectly be boosting testosterone via downregulating cortisol levels in the body. That being said, fenugreek is another kind of age-old Ayurvedic traditional medicine herb that has been shown to traditionally as a libido booster, male support, virility, fertility supplement, but it's also been shown in actual human research to increase levels of luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, which have downstream effects in regards to testosterone. That's one of the few ingredients that actually has some human research noting improvements in testosterone. You want about 600 milligrams of fenugreek extract, generally standardized somewhere in the 40 to 50% of saponins. But by and large, do I think test boosters work? No, they're not going to give you any kind of significant testosterone increase along the lines of something like TRT would. Would it give you increases maybe in virility, libido, and just kind of general mood, like you feel just better because you're less stressed and things? Yeah, they'll work in that sense, but are they going to boost your testosterone levels on the order of something like an AAS would? No, not even close. But fenugreek, you're looking for a natural thing. Yeah, there's some decent evidence to show that fenugreek could have some benefits on overall just manliness, lifting performance, body composition improvements, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we say the same thing over and over again. Focus on sleep, stress, nutrition, daily activity outside of lifting. Because look, there's a lot of lifters out there that just treat their bodies like shit, as far as what they eat, and don't get any extra. So they're walking around with a lot of extra weight. And I get it. I mean, lifting has benefits, and it's it's a good thing to do, but you kind of also want to get the body fat percentage down a little bit. Like, I'm not telling you guys you need to be super lean, because I don't like to be super lean as a bigger, older gentleman. But sometimes a little bit of a 10% body decrease will help a little bit. So just some things to think about. Yep. The shirt arrived. Thank you. Thank you so much for buying them. I keep the shirts pretty darn cheap in the store because, honestly, look, no matter what people say in YouTube fitness, you don't sell a lot of merch. You don't. You really don't. And I don't try to profit off merch. What I typically do is mark shirts up $5. You're like, oh my God, he's making $5 a shirt. The reason why I mark it up to that is because I give away as many as I sell. So I like to subsidize that a little bit. But yeah, they're like $15. And you get to look good. And you know what? When you wear a shirt in public that says Massive Iron, your testosterone levels go up. Today, though,
Hulkamania.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, today we're Hulkamania. Hit that like button. Thanks. I got a funny story for you guys that'll show you how old and stupid I am. And to the individual that I blocked, I apologize. And if you know this is you, let me know. But an individual started posting on my comments algorithm. Okay. And I thought they were implying I'm just making a video to get spews for views. Feeding.
Yeah.
So they kept doing it on every video. I'm like, this is getting annoying. And then I blocked them. And then I realized they were leaving a comment to help the algorithm.
Right.
Well, I'm a fucking idiot.
Yes.
It's a true story.
Oh my goodness.
Any cooking with a big hairy ugly dude. I put out a mini cookbook last week for those of you that didn't see it. And it was just something to get out quick with all the recipes that we use a lot. It has, let me see if I can find it, 32 recipes. Now, before you, that's not a lot. Greg's cookbook has 60 and it's $200, so it is what
But
it
it
is.
has apple poop, Steve. I mean, come on.
Apple goop. So, yeah. These are the actual hardcover books you can get. Massive Iron, Muscle Brawn Archives. You can get this sexy logbook, training book, that actually you can log a whole year's worth of workouts in that thing, and it has 20 blank pages for notes. Super Living Challenge book, and then the cookbook PDF. It's only $19.99. Okay, so. But I got some really good recipes in here, especially I like to focus on snacks and desserts and things like that because, look, I mean, putting chicken in a thing is pretty easy, but we got cheesecake bites in here that are high protein, no flour protein cookies. Like I like protein cookies, but these things are 200 calories and they're low sugar compared to like you got mug cakes. I actually had a client last week that started with me that said, "Hey, my husband is a pig. He's eating like 10 Freezy Pops. What can I do?" And I said, "We'll make some BCAA pops." That's one of the
That's what we do.
few things where BCAAs are actually useful, right?
So we do to give the halfling a popsicle every now and then when she wants one.
So yeah, some good things in there. Is it okay to change pendley rows with chest-supported dumbbell rows? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just wear straps on your rows to save your elbow tendonitis, and because you don't want your grip becoming the limiting factor in your rowing.
Right.
Excuse me. Do you build muscle only in workouts? Or will I grow on workouts so they put in the same effort in as last time? Okay, only workouts with progressive overload. Well, here's the thing. It is a lie to believe that a workout that doesn't have a +1 isn't productive. So you're like, oh, he's just like everything's equal and hug a tree and all that kind of bullshit. All right, so let's break it down. Let's look at this from two levels. Number one, bar speed. You can do a 6-rep today, and your bar speed is relatively fast, and you just missed at the top. And then next week, you can do, let me backtrack. Okay. 6-rep this week is slow. It's grindy, but you got, you got it. Okay. It was near limit, but you got number 6. Number 7, you couldn't even try. Next week, you get 6 again. Life sucks. But next week, it's faster. And then the week after, it's like, boom, faster. And then all of a sudden, you got 7 reps. So it's not just reps. You have to kind of be aware of your bar speed on those last 2 reps. And sometimes it's micro progression. It's not. So that's one thing to think about. Another thing to think about is you are making the best possible effort even on bad days. Like when stress is kicking you in the balls or your immune system's a little bit compromised, you might not even know your body's fighting something. Right now I have so many allergy issues. The temperature's going up. The body's forced to adjust to the humidity, to the heat, to the allergies. and then I might be fighting COVID. Who knows, right? So you might feel like, oh, I dipped a rep this week compared to last week, but your overall relative effort might be better. So look at long term rather than how did I do versus last week. Anything to add to that, Robert?
No, I mean, you pretty much said everything. Even though you and I dump a lot on RPE and RIR, like the average individual doesn't really need to worry about that. But I mean, that's a way to assess that you may have been making progress, even though you only hit, let's say you hit 8 reps on a squat. Maybe last week it took, it was an RPE of 10. This week it was an RPE of 9. So since you stepped down a little bit in RPE, that means you were able to progress and that you're stronger within that same rep range. So while you may not have added a rep, the fact that how much it took out of you is a sign that you've improved right there. So I mean, there's a couple of different ways that you can always look at progress. It's not always necessarily adding weight and or rep. It could be maybe you rested a little bit less between sets this week, or maybe you were more explosive out of the hole on it. Maybe your form improved. Maybe you squeezed the muscle and you stuck in the hole a little bit longer. There's a bunch of ways, even if your reps are staying the same, there's a bunch of ways that you can still increase the intensity of the workout, or that you've made progress where it may have maybe nothing actually changed in the logbook, but maybe you got a little bit better contraction on the muscle or something like that. You were activating the muscles to a greater degree than you were last week.
Yeah, and like one of the reasons why I don't talk about reps in reserve is because, it's a guessing game that's better played by experienced lifters, but bar speed is not a guessing game.
Right.
Bar speed can be analyzed by anybody. And, there are sometimes I go into a workout where my chest might not feel good for whatever reason, or my neck sucks because I slept on it wrong or whatever, and I can't perform as good. There are more systems in the body basically than just muscle, right? And your immune system, your blood sugar, anything can impact things. But look at things over the long. Keep the effort consistent and smart, and look at things over the long run. When I started out, I also bought into the whole squats are everything, but I had my best leg results when I started smashing weighted lunges and Bulgarians. As I said yesterday, the best thing you can do for quads is to keep a myriad of exercises. Don't be like squats are the goat and everything else is a chode. Doesn't matter. Robert didn't flinch at the word chode. I don't think he knows what that is. He doesn't. Somebody send him chode pictures.
Please don't. Please, I don't need pictures of chodes or Daddy D. I don't need pictures of
don't send him chode pictures to his DM. Don't do it.
Please don't.
So much trouble if you do. All right. I'm sorry, but that's what working in blue collar jobs for 15 years gets you. I know you are a big fan of heavy dumbbell rows, but if my gym only has 40 kilogram dumbbells, are they just effective? I wouldn't slow them down, because basically, slowing the concentrics, okay. Slowing the eccentric, you're going to put a lot of stress on your biceps, and I'm not a fan of that. I would probably recommend more switching over to Meadows rows. Somewhere along the line, single arm T-bar rows where people started to call them Meadows rows. So if I say single arm T-bar, Meadows row. I was using single arm T-bars for a long time, but now I have to call them Meadows rows, or I have to pay the patron saint of single arm rows. So yeah, you could do those as well. Those are pretty easy to set up.
Yeah, or slot the dumbbell rows later in your workout. So do some other movements where you can still have heavier weight to challenge you in whatever rep range you're working with, and move them towards the latter portion of your workout, when maybe the 40 kgs will have you tapping out in the rep range that you're trying to target.
One thing I like to do if I'm in a gym that has lighter dumbbells and I can't really get in a good dumbbell row workout, is I'll do a single arm of 20 with whatever heavy weight they have.
Yeah.
Because I like to keep up my dumbbell row strength. So if I walk into Shittsville LA Fitness and the most I have is 120s, I'll knock out one set of 20s and then I'll move on to the rest of my back work. Hey, Steve, it looks like your cut is kicking in. You're looking leaner. Thank you. We're trying, man. The past month, I have been riding that 2,000 calorie train, and it's all this sitting, man. It's just shit. I got to wrap up my running though again a little bit so I can eat a little bit more because we're down to like 45 minutes every second day, and we're just going through a light spell before we ramp things up again. And man, does it play havoc on your metabolism when you're not doing as much.
Yep.
I'm on the hunt for caffeine-free pre-workout. Any recommended brands to try?
Absolutely. Number one at the top of the list, Apollo Nutrition Bare Knuckle, complete stim-free pre-workout, plus it's got some nootropics in there to help with focus, even though you're not giving caffeine. Truth be told, I did have a hand in assisting with the formulation on that, and Robbie, the owner of Apollo, is a member of the Final Scoop. But the benefit of that is that he's basically giving people 15% off the product. So if you use the code Final Scoop at apollonutrition.com, all one word, you will get 15% off of one of the best stim-free pre-workouts on the market. Other great ones are Volugen by Morphogen Nutrition, FSU by Inspired Nutraceuticals, Ghost Pump by Ghost Lifestyle. What else? FSU Mega Pre White by Primeval Labs is really solid. Vasomax by Performax Labs is really good, as is One Up Stim Free Pre. So there's 9 or 10 of them right there. But my preferred option would be Bare Knuckle, just because I had a hand in it, and Robbie's an awesome guy.
Bare Knuckle. All right, so I'm going to share something personal. Don't get excited, Robert. Doesn't have anything to do with chodes. Why, when I search this name, do I get headphones?
Do you want me to bring Sandy in here and ask her if she wants to, if you can ask her what a chode is and see if she knows? She's probably even more clueless than I am.
No, I'd get kicked off the internet. All right, so I'm going to share something personal. It is last year, I had way early last year, I developed a relationship, or the year before, a relationship with David Clark. And David Clark he like me, he was a big dude. You know, he was like around where my weight was, mid 300s. And David made a change, lost a lot of weight. He was also an alcoholic, and made a huge change. And he went on to run over 100-mile runs. And last January, I was actually going to support David. He was filming a documentary where he was going to ride his fat bike all around to the classic NHL cities, from city to city, in the middle of January, and I was going to be a support crew. And we had discussed the logistics of that. I was going to help him film his documentary and be his pit crew and all that kind of stuff. But, financially, things didn't work out as well as he wanted, so he had to downsize that whole thing, and I didn't get involved. But David, I talked to David almost daily. He was kind of a brother of mine. And the reason why I want to mention this is because I featured him on my Instagram today. David died last year, just unexpectedly. He went in for a routine surgery, and something went wrong with his kidneys. And he just passed away. So it's a reminder, for everybody. And I deal with a lot of overweight individuals. But this guy completely changed his life, and he's an author. He was writing books. He had his own coaching service, and he's just gone for no reason. So, one of the messages and one of the things I try to beat like a drum is that you're running out of time. Stop fucking around. Stop fucking around. This guy completely changed his lifestyle in such a way that it was an epic change, like David Goggins level. And he still, when he got to the peak where he was helping other people do the same thing, his life was taken away from him. So just a reminder to you guys that this shit we do is not just about, PRs. It's about being exceptional, doing something that doesn't suck ass with your life, having some kind of a purpose to your life.
Yep.
Man, my life is more than just PRs. It's the challenge really that I enjoy. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy running, is because no one expects me to do it. Whereas he used to be a fat ass and I don't think no one expected him to do it. So, all right. It's a 1-year anniversary of his death. Do you always listen to Backstreet Boys when doing Romanian deadlifts? I was at Gold's Gym, so I don't know what was on in the background. The fact that you know, and I've watched that video 100 times, and I don't know is quite concerning. So,
little known fact about Steve, though, sometimes he does listen to Celine Dion while doing bench press.
I wouldn't even know what. Like when I tune into the news, and like one of the news stories this week was some celebrity has been living 10 years with HIV and hasn't told anybody. Like, who the fuck is this? I never heard of this guy's name before. That's me. Yeah. John, Robert, been watching Final Scoop episodes and loving them.
Thank you, John.
You and Steve make up 90% of my listening. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
When can people tune in to the Final Scoop, Robert?
Every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Supplement Engineer YouTube channel. We'll be back at it again tomorrow, as we always are. And then the Supplement Engineer podcasts are never typically live. Those are just one-on-one interviews I usually do with an individual, and I upload those throughout the week. And then Sandy and I do a live Q&A every Thursday afternoon, usually at 4:30 Central Time, but we might be shifting that back to 4 o'clock for the summer months.
All right, Faz. I made a video with Faz before Robert and before our live.
You're still cheating on me. I get you. That's cool. No, whatever. That's fine.
Look, you can't fulfill all my needs, Robert. You just can't. You're only one man.
Faz is a classy individual. I will say that.
Dorian's original gym was an hour from where I live, and I trained with the old school guys around here and knew him. And yeah, you guys are right on the money. The warm-ups were intense. We moved fast and the reps were high. You were pre-fatigued going in. Yeah, that's what I suspected. And, I'm no expert in pretending I know how Dorian trained every day, but just comparing what he did to what everybody thinks he did, there was definitely some pre-fatigue going on, or it looked like it. Last week, deadlift 320 for 667. This week, 325. Only got 312. Normal to see such a drastic. I get this question a lot, and it's not normal. But the deadlift is a fickle beast. And there was 1 week I recall where I deadlifted 675, and the next week I couldn't get 600 off the ground. What I typically recommend at this point, John, is number one, moving to my 3 protocol, where you're starting with about your 7 rep max, and then your second set, you drop weight about 7.5%. Your third set, you drop weight 7.5%. And only the first set is max safe reps, okay? And when you get to 7 on the first set, then you add 5 pounds. I would also recommend alternating week in and week out with floor pulls, and then the second week, hex bar deadlifts or block pulls, or something else, a variation. So we're not, putting you under this intense crunch every week. I find there's more value in the deadlift when I only floor pull every 2 weeks. When I was at my strongest, I only floor pulled every other week. And I would always do block pulls or something similar. Sigourney Weaver, with Grant and Paul. I don't even know what Paul is.
She was good in Ghostbusters. I know that.
Liar. Have you guys read the Expanse series? We Are Bob is great, funny science fiction. No, I have not. I'll check it out.
I've seen the Expanse series on Amazon. I think it was originally on Sci-Fi Network, and then it got ported over to Amazon. I've seen there's 5 seasons in total, I think, that have been released so far. I watched the first 3, and I kind of lost interest after the 3rd season because it started getting really over the top and very in-your-face preachy about the certain things, and I kind of lost interest in it.
All right. Vision Mad Cow or Texas Method for intermediates?
Massive iron method.
You go over here to superlivingtoday.com, which is a website above my head. You go to the store, you check out the workouts tabs, and I got some programs. Look, any program will work, but I have my own training philosophies and my own beliefs, and I want to get you strong my way. And I believe my way is superior because I do. I've dedicated my life to this. My programs, I believe, for the average individual are quality, and I stand behind them. And I think overall they're a better, more well-rounded method for strength building and power building over the long run than doing Mad Cow or Texas Method. I know some of these have been made super sexy and almost elevated to some godlike standard, but it's not backed by what the average individual is doing in the gym. It's just one of these internet programs that is seen as super heroic, and it's not in reality. It's just not the best way for the average individual. Which one of your programs do you recommend for hypertrophy? I'm looking for bodybuilding and not so much powerlifting. Well, the first thing you know is you got to get a lot stronger than you are now, so there's no escaping strength building. The biggest detach most people have is they think, I want to do bodybuilding and I don't want to focus on strength. If you want to do bodybuilding, you're going to have to get a hell of a lot stronger than you are now, and you're going to have to do it in rep ranges that are extremely challenging. With that said, if you go over to my website, which is right above my head, I got my upper lower, which is good. And I have my push-pull legs, which is good. And I have in the store, when you click on the store, there's a course. It's called ebooks. And then under ebooks, I got courses. Let me just share that for you guys. Okay, so you see store link, and then you click on ebooks, and there's courses. And in the courses, there's two bodybuilding-ish courses, the Power Muscle Block and the Bulldozer Workout Training Course. Both of those, you can learn a lot. They're going to challenge you. You're going to need to get a lot stronger than you are now, but they're more bodybuilding-ish centric. And also, Raphael, if anybody's interested in coaching, I'd be willing to help you. I design a program for each client. Coaching is $80 a month. I'm with you every single day. I build your program. I monitor your program. And it's the best bang for the buck you can get from my world. So don't rule that out. Bro, I want to gain weight. Please tell me how. Robert?
Bro, eat enough calories. Make sure you're eating a small surplus each day. So find your maintenance calories and then start eating 250 to 500 calories above that consistently, and train your balls off in the gym, and you will gain weight and muscle, hopefully.
What you want to do is step on the scale Monday and Friday. Get up, urinate, step on the scale, monitor your weight, have 2 data points a week. Set a calorie target, hit it every damn day. If not, you're just fucking off. Start wherever you think you eat, 2,600, 3,000. Watch what the scale is doing. And you want to make sure that you don't gain more than 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds per month. We're not trying to get you fat. But that, combined with some good quality resistance training, is going to get you to where you want to go. Favorite song when going for a PR? Robert, are we talking about a bedroom PR or a lifting PR in your world? What's your favorite bedroom PR song?
We're not going into that. We're not going into that.
We can't play any music on this channel anymore because the second we do, YouTube demonetizes everything.
Yeah.
We played 1 second of a Grease song.
Should I say? I guess we don't actually play any music. There's no music in the bedroom.
Grasping for Air by YOB. That's my deadlift song. but I'd love to play it for you, but I don't want to get kicked off YouTube.
Gym stuff, I mean, it's pretty much any kind of classic rock or Rocky IV soundtrack, 80s stuff like that. No Easy Way Out's a really good one. You're the Best Around from the Karate Kid's another really good one. Those kind of things are what get me and Sandy going.
How about Striper? Striper get you going, Robert?
I would have to hear what the song is. That's not ringing a bell off the
Robert,
top of my head. Yeah.
You do not know what Striper is? You seriously don't know what Striper is, Robert?
I don't.
They were Bumblebee Christian metal back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Holy cow. Those are some outfits. Oh my God.
Yeah. They made it on MTV. They were
what in the world?
They were like all yellow and black. It was Christian metal.
No, I mean, Sandy and I are Catholic, but we actually don't like Christian rock or any of that kind of stuff because a lot of the time, because it sounds just kind of like whiny and stuff. No, that's
Well, you know, in the Christian like religious music world, at least in Christianity, every song is like the same lyrics, but they just keep repeating like one phrase over and over again, like "You are the Lord of Lords, you are the King of Kings, you are the Lord of Lords, you are the King of Kings," and then words. It's like every song's the same with different music.
Yeah, I never liked Christian rock or any of that kind of stuff. You know, like, no, I like the old, like when it comes to church, and I played when I was still playing trumpet regularly. I was playing at mass every Sunday, but it was all like the old school hymns where we had like the giant organ and there was a trumpet playing all the kind of classical music with it. I don't like modern Christian fellowship worship songs like that. I can't stand that kind of stuff. I like traditional hymns if I'm going to be playing anything in a church setting.
All right, what do we got here? Let's get rid of Striper before our eyes start to bleed. Unable to recover from my workouts easily, pushing 80s for chest, 90s for rows, 70s for shoulders. Need at least 2 days rest after every workout day. The first thing I'd look at is like food intake. I mean, is it unheard of? Well, it's a good sign that you're working hard. Yeah. Can you get away with working out every third day? Yes, if your structure's okay. I mean, that's okay. That's fine. As long as it's well-rounded. So should you deload? No. If you're recovering every third day, then just train every third day. You could also use some rotation, some nonlinear periodization rotation techniques, like heavy one day and volume the next time. So let's say you're doing 80s on chest. The next time into the gym, you could just do machines for volume, like 5x10, or you could do 5x10 with a lighter weight on chest, or do supersets or something. So you could see if that could help. But deload is not the solution.
Yeah, and how much volume are actually doing in each of those individual workouts is another thing. Like, how are you taking every single set to failure? Are you doing a bunch of volume in each of those training sessions where you're digging the hole so deep in each of those individual workouts, it's taking you 2 days to just recover from that? So, you know, it's kind of hard to answer this just over a YouTube question answer. But I mean, if you could send Steve or I an email and see your programming, we could do a little bit like of a program analysis and help dial in things a little bit more.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind taking a look at it because your numbers are pretty good. I mean, I found after 2 workouts I can't do a third, or I could, but I feel like I need a day off.
It'd be suboptimal. You could push harder if you took that day.
So, Orion, about to go crush some OHPs, have fun. Just a reminder, guys, the best question is going to win a T-shirt. I don't think we've had one yet that have tickled my ovaries, so keep them coming. Gonzalo Montiel, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. 60 cardio on a static bike, 10,000 steps a day, 5 days weightlifting per week. Do you think I enter highly active? Yeah, highly active. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, Gonzalo. The answer is who gives a shit. And I'm not being confrontational, but you know, yes, you're highly active, but if you're trying to figure out your daily calorie expenditure, all that matters is a scale and your calorie intake and how those two relate to one another. Because as somebody that coaches for a living, there's a wide variety of variables, and you can take the same two people doing the same two activity levels, and they'll need two different calorie intakes to maintain. That's reality. So TDE calculators are basically like, they're the things you'd find at like 2:30 in the morning on TV, like the info TV, slice of dice, it's a Julienne's type of bullshit. They're useless.
Yeah, very, very rough estimate, very crude implement. It's an estimation at best. Just use that maybe as a starting point, but don't stick to it. Then use what Steve said. Start tracking your calorie intake each day and tracking your weight on the scale and see how that's changing.
It's like me looking at what you do and say, okay, I think he's about 190 pounds, and I'm probably plus or minus 15 pounds. That's pretty much how the same a TDE calculator would be. The same accuracy. I should add, you are using the same weight you regularly use. What do we miss? Sometimes I get disconnected from. What's that? I'm lost there. So, do you have any bro split recommendations? Over my website, superlivingtoday.com, I got 2 programs in the courses section, the bulldozer and the power muscle block. I also have bro type splits in my book, Massive Iron, etc. So most of my programs or workout systems have a body part split option. High energy G-Flex for bulking. What's G-Flux?
I have no idea.
G-Flux. That's a new one. I'm Googling it so you don't have to. Oh, I just put in flux. G-Flux. I'm going to put in G-Flux and bodybuilding, because that might lead us. Precision Nutrition G-Flux. It is a basic law. Okay. You seeing this stuff?
Yeah, I just pulled it up.
Enough with the fucking pop-ups already. Jesus Christ. I hate going to a site and have 7 pop-ups. Like, I'm just really here just to relax a little bit. It's a basic law of the universe. Energy can be created or destroyed, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we get it. We bring energy, blah, blah, blah. G-flux, also known as energy flux, is a complex and interdependent relationship between energy it flows into. Okay.
So it's basically calories in versus calories out. Is that what we're getting at here?
But saying that it'll fluctuate based on all the complex systems in your body. Gonzalo, I'm not poking at you over this, but it's just like, no shit it does. I mean, the body is a complex mechanism. It's full of really volatile hormones. But this will have this is nothing you need to worry about at all. I don't care what they say in this article. I don't care what kind of voodoo or horse shit. I don't care if this is 50,000 fucking words long. It's just a waste of time. It absolutely is. The only thing you need to worry about for bulking is, are you training hard enough? And how is that scale doing month in and month out? Are you consistent? Whatever this bullshit is trying to say it adds or doesn't add to your bulking. And look, Precision Nutrition is a reputable site.
Yeah.
And I am not saying that there is not variances in energy flux. There certainly is. I train people for a living. It's a complex formula. It can vary from day to day. Sometimes people are holding water for myriads of reasons, but this is nothing anybody needs to worry about when bulking.
No, I mean, it's getting really, really down into like the gnat's ass details of stuff like that, and the average individual doesn't need to be concerned with it. Start tracking your weight, start tracking your calorie intake. As long as you've got a moderate surplus, you're going to be fine. You don't need to worry about minor fluctuations in how many calories you're expending maybe on your train. This goes back to the thing you and I always talk about, Steve, where the question we get, should I eat less calories on my non-training days than that? Could you maybe optimize things to like an nth degree by doing that and titrating 50 grams of carbs on training days and removing on that? average individual doesn't want to be bothered with that shit. They're going to struggle more with consistently hitting their calorie things than, adding in an additional 50 or 75 grams of carbs on training days versus non-training days.
And they're also making some broad assumptions. On my off days, rest days, my body is depleted.
Yeah.
The assumption that somehow you need less fuel and that's going to keep you leaner. Like, do you really think micro adjusting 50 to 100 calories on rest days is going to keep you leaner? What's going to keep you leaner is not bulking like a fat ass. That's what's going to keep you leaner.
Exactly.
You're not going to get fat on a bulk no matter what, if you do it right. You're just simply not.
Yep.
So all these micro adjustments and, they're mental games that aren't needed. They're a waste of mental energy. And anybody that says they're not is blowing smoke up your ass, because if you run a bulk properly over 2 years, right, and you're gaining 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a month, and then you do this micro adjustment, the difference might be 1 to 2 pounds, might be over the course of 2 years. And all that mental gymnastics of adjusting your diet and hyper monitoring your diet is not needed at all.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the best strategy for post-newbie lifter looking to increase strength versus size. The best strategy would be to go through a desensitization phase when you're cut some fat off and drop your training intensity down a little bit, not a lot of bit, but a little bit. Get that fat off, and then do a long, slow bulk. So if your weight is up there a little bit right now, you need to get the majority of that fat off. Okay. And you're going to lose some strength, and you're going to hate me. And the big, hairy, ugly dude said, lose weight, and you lost 25% of your strength, and life sucks, and you hate me. But what's going to happen is you get your body fat percentage down to 15 to 18%, and then you can do a long, slow, steady calorie surplus, which is good for strength over the long run. And then after a year or two, if you're up 10 pounds of flubber, you can cut that off and start that process up again. So really resetting to a baseline where you get a lot of the excess fat off and start building strength is good. Any thoughts on that, Robert?
No, I mean, you pretty much said everything. If you're looking for programs, I mean, Super Living Today, Massive Iron thing is teed up perfectly for that.
But you need size for strength.
Yeah.
But what about the guy on the internet that weighs 190 pounds and he's deadlifting 800? His arms are 16 and a half inches. Lean. He has a lot of size for a natural. Can knee wraps damage your knees in the long run? This is one of these questions that, like knee wraps, wrist wraps, that drives me crazy. It's like this hyper fear. It's like the guys on the internet that are like, all supplements are bad and everybody's a scam artist. And can knee wraps damage your knees? If you squat heavy for a long period of time with knee wraps or wrist wraps and then take them off, there has to be a period where you have to reset and get used to training without the support. So if you just rip them off and try to squat the same, you increase the likelihood of risk of injury. Can they damage your knees in the long run? Every heavy lifter I know uses them, well, like I remember talking to Ernie Lillibert or Eric or Ernie Senior at a powerlifting meet about wraps, and we were talking in between lifts, and he was laughing at the thought. He's like, "These guys haven't been training that long. They don't, it's just all internet hype." There's a gap between guys on the internet talking about this and actually people who have been lifting for a long period of time. Like I use wrist wraps on my bench because it's really easy to pick up strains. And when I use wrist wraps on my pressing movements, strains are reduced to virtually nil. That extra support helps a lot. And I would argue there's a much greater risk of injury and strains when you get strong and don't use them. So that's the bottom line for me. Robert, have you ever seen any science on like experienced lifters, not some schmuck in a lab coat testing some guy doing leg extensions or some, bullshit?
Talking about experienced people using knee wraps and their long-term knee health.
Right. Any idea where this belief? I don't think this is scientifically founded. If it is, it's in one study.
Yeah, I mean, maybe from people start to rely more on the knee wraps and they start bouncing it and using it like a cushion instead of using proper technique. But that's more of people not executing exercise properly than, I mean, that's the user error. That's not the knee wraps error. But I'm not aware of anything. But then again, I haven't, done a lot of research on knee wraps just because I don't use them, and that's not something that I spend a lot of time dealing with.
Yeah, the average lifter doesn't need them, but when you start to pick up strains and pains, that extra support is not a bad thing. Beef McLewis, my junk food and beer blowouts on Saturday is ruining my week. Why can't I enjoy life on the weekend? You can. When I'm at my goal weight, I live like a monk during the week, and then I have some fun on the weekend. But you just can't have no rules. You can't be like, I'm going to eat an entire large pizza, drink 8 beers a night, have 52 chicken wings, and pound a pint of ice cream. Eating food and abusing food, there has to be some sort of, regulation system. Today on social media, I posted about clients that go off every weekend. What I'm talking about is they'll be really good during the week, but they'll have no set of rules or no plan for the weekend.
Yeah.
They'll just fuck off and eat like pigs and drink like pigs. And then they're not losing weight. And you know what? They're 300 pounds and they're going to die at age 50 from a heart attack. That's why they can't. If you want to die at age 55 from a heart attack, then go ahead. But at some point, if you're obese, you need to understand your credit rating is broke and you need to repair your credit rating. And that's not done with, I get a cheat meal every weekend, which is really just an excuse to eat like a fat pig and abuse food. So
agreed. Yeah, you can definitely enjoy life on the weekends, but you don't need to blow it out. I mean, you don't need to go on a bender every weekend to enjoy life. Enjoying life could be having 2 beers and having, some pizza on the weekend. It doesn't need to be, a dozen donuts for breakfast, burger and fries for lunch, an entire large pizza and wings for dinner, plus a 24-pack of beer. That's eating like an asshole, like Steve was talking about. You can have fun. You can eat well for the first 2 meals of the day, then have whatever you want to Saturday night for dinner if you want to. You can have 3 or 4 beers. You could have that. But you still got to keep things somewhat, in perspective and have a little bit of you need to have the bumpers like you were in a bowling alley. You got to have some kind of guards on there. You can't just completely go off the rails.
I mean, Beef, you're saying your junk food and beer blowouts. Look, if you're like, you got some contradictory information here. You're like, a blowout is you're like in an 80s Striper music video, and you're walking into the bar and it's time to blow it out, right? You're just like party time, but then you say it's ruining your week. You have to decide who you want to be. You're living in both worlds.
Yeah, you can still have fun. You can enjoy it. You can have your cake and eat it too, but in moderation. You don't need to go off the deep end with anything. Don't take it to an extreme.
I got news for you guys. Number 1, you don't have to bring it in the house. Number 2, if you bring it in the house, you don't need to get a 20-ounce serving of Doritos. You fat asses. You can get a fucking smaller serving. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that directly to Beef. I have no idea what Beef's weight is. But that's how I used to be. I would bring like a huge family bag of Doritos into the house for the weekend, and nacho cheese, and I'd bring one of the big super-sized things of ice cream. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, you can eat a smaller portion, right?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes what I find is when I'm craving beer, Robert, I'm just craving the first beer.
Mm-hmm.
And once I taste the first beer, the second beer doesn't taste as good, because really all I want to do was taste the first beer because I got done with a run. And I learned I can live without the second beer. It was just the first beer I wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but man, Beef, look, if you're overweight, dude, I mean, you got to get some help. Because, look, well, I'm not telling you need to get some help, because we've talked about this before, Robert. There are some people that spend their whole life in this world, where they're like, I got to lose weight, 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 I got to lose weight. And that's 50 years of their life.
Yeah.
If you enjoy eating junk food and doing beer blowouts on the weekends and you're not gaining weight, then just go with it, man. I mean, you know what kind of life I look forward to when I'm retired? To have blowouts on the weekend, but be able to maintain my weight over the course of a week because I have balance. The key is just to bring balance into play. But if you need to lose weight, you need to get the weight off and then return to balance.
And then go back to listening to Stryper in the bedroom playing Bed Weirdos.
Yeah, all stuff. I don't even know what that says right there.
Solly
Solly Lathe 88, Solly Lathe 99.
That works.
Sorry. That's a lot of alphabet soup. Can push-ups no. Peanut, stop. No. Push-ups cannot substitute a compound movement. I did push-ups all day long in the military. It's not a question like that. They need to both be done. But the big guns are the big guns. It's like saying, can a shotgun replace a machine gun? No, it cannot. 135-pound man or a lighter woman can master push-ups pretty easily. And yes, there are many ways you can make them more challenging. Rest, pause, slowing, but it has its limitations.
Yeah, you need to start doing decline push-ups, adding weighted backpacks, doing dips. I mean, it's not a pure plus. One's an open chain exercise, one's a closed chain exercise. That's another thing too to consider. The scapula and the serratus are involved much more in push-ups than they are with the bench press, because usually with the bench press you're locking the scapula back, whereas in push-ups you've got freedom of movement with that. So it's not a one-to-one substitute. Yes, they can both be effective for building the chest, but it's not you're not comparing apples to apples. They're similar in that they both work the chest, but that's about where the similarities end.
The reason why I don't like these questions, and I'm not being assumptive about this viewer's question, but I'm saying in general, I get this question a lot because somebody's seeking an easier way. And the true path is to do both. What you want to do is have some exercises for each body part where even if you go as hard as you can still progress with them for years to come without having to complicate the movement. You need a couple of those movements in your repertoire for each body part. And then after that, you can add in push-ups. So, do you have any bro split programs? Yes, I do. Almost every one of my programs over at superlivingtoday.com has a bro split. Greg Duvier says, testing. What's up, Bilal? How's it going today? My questions are not being posted. Try trimming them in size. Dave Argentino, technical progression is underrated. Technical progression. What are your thoughts on that, Robert?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier with like bar speed or improving your form, things like that. Whereas we're not always just chasing that rep or the I don't want to say not chasing it, because you always should be striving to add weight or reps to the bar, but improving movement proficiency, muscular recruitment, those kind of things. Those tend to be things that are not as emphasized in the resistance training world, probably because it's harder. That's more subjective than seeing like saying I added a rep or I added 5 pounds to the bar. It's more of a subjective thing, and it's open to interpretation. And it also requires you to be pretty damn in tune with how you're performing the movement and be able to assess yourself, or at least have a good video of what you're doing.
One of the things I say pretty much in any facet of life is focus on what you can control. And the consistent effort in muscle building is what you can control. And no matter how you feel each given day, you might feel worse one day, better the next. Focus on what you can control. You might be tired one day. Focus on what you can control. So,
Word.
along with that, Robert, we were talking about the food on the weekends, the blowout on the weekends.
Mhm.
One of the things I see over and over again is this weekend is so-and-so's birthday. I have to have cake. Like, no, you don't have to have cake, because the birthday celebration is about celebrating someone's birth. And no one will notice if you don't have cake. I guarantee it. No one will notice. Even if you cut a sliver and you don't eat it, no one will notice. But it's like celebrations have to be about the food and not actually about the celebration, right?
Yeah, right.
When you celebrate your parents' 30th wedding anniversary, is it about the beer? I mean, is it about the cake? Really?
Well, you may not have been here if the beer wasn't there. So
Right. Everybody hates your damn parents anyway. The only way I could tolerate them is beer. So, right, that's what somebody might be thinking. But this idea that everything is a celebration and I have to have cake.
well, it's really funny. There's some people in our neighborhood. We're talking like celebrating everything and doing all that nonsense. There are some people in our neighborhood. They put signs in their yard that says, "Congratulations, Rocky. Congratulations, Sarah, on your pre-kindergarten graduation from preschool." I'm thinking, are you fucking kidding me? It's just like, are we just going to sell it? This is part of where everybody gets a ribbon, everybody gets a trophy culture. You don't need to celebrate your kid going from the 3-year-old class to the 4-year-old class. And I'm somebody that has a 3-year-old that will be going to the 4-year-old class in a couple of weeks when she turns 4. That is not warrant for giant yard signs and a blowout party and celebration. Never mind. I'm going to get
we're in a culture that celebrates
mediocrity.
Tries to attack anybody that achieves anything. So
yeah.
I don't like Bulgarians or lunges because I have bad knees, but I still do them because I feel like just do them wisely. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and usually those are easier on the knees than squats are, or at least I find that. Like Bulgarians and reverse lunges are great on the knees. That for me and anybody that I've worked with using them that has had a history of knee issues.
2,000 calories sounds hard to do. Not really. It depends on the individual. I mean, my male clients, some of them eat 1,600, some of them eat 4,500. And the younger guys under 30 seem to, think 2,000 is crazy. But, for me sitting here all day long, I'm probably burn the most calories on Friday when I run my mouth the whole time. Most overrated supplement to take. Robert, I am no wizard. I am no doctor. I am no supplement expert. But I would set the table probably with BCAAs. Only because it's so hyped and so prevalent.
Agreed. BCAAs are up there. Glutamine is up there. HMB is up there. CLA. Most of the natural testosterone boosters on the market are overrated. You don't need them, especially young guys don't need anything like that. That's pretty much all of them. That's the most overrated ones.
It can be context dependent too, because there are some major fat burners that are crap. It can be
green coffee bean, raspberry ketones.
Yeah. No. Nope. Absolutely not. Bands are one of the worst things you can do for hypertrophy, because when you get to it's just, how do you say it, Robert? When
the resistance profile is making it harder where you actually need the assistance. So it's making it harder at the most challenging point of the movement. So think about like a one-arm row with a band. You're weakest with the band. You're strongest at the beginning of the movement, and there's hardly any tension on the band. When you get your arm all the way back here, that's the hardest part of the row. That's also when you're getting maximum tension on the band. So it's purposely making it harder and making it more likely that you won't be able to create the overload in the proper way that you would need to.
So, bands are arguably the worst thing you can do for hypertrophy. Does that mean you can't find a way to make them challenging? Yes. But in the hypertrophy world, you're far better off. You'd be better off doing body weight stuff, TRX stuff, than bands. Bands have become popular in the last year and a half, but I have bands here. I hate them. I just absolutely hate them. I can do they mess with your head too, Robert. Like if I'm doing a band row and I'm really trying to get the most out of it, I realize I'm more worried about the thing snapping.
Yeah.
Like if I really ramped up the tension where I did a legit max 8 rep set, I feel like the door would fly off.
Yeah.
I don't think you're actually getting the tension you believe you are getting out of bands. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, is it better than nothing? I don't know. I almost think that body weight would be better. Like it's good for bands could be good for like the sprinkles on top of the cake, on top of the icing. But and I know it's popular because it's probably trendy on social media and YouTube, all these band workouts and everything. But man, if people just focused on if you don't have access to a gym, any other kind of free weights, I would stick to body weight exercises. There's a million variations and ways to increase the challenge of those to make you fail in like the 10, 12, 15 rep range. You just have to know how to do it and be willing to dedicate the time to it. I would recommend that before going with bands.
I'd rather see you get an old T-shirt and load it up with soup cans and roll that thing than to mess with bands.
Yeah.
I'd rather just go out on the street and lift random objects than to waste your time with bands.
Yeah.
I got so much more leg development by doing trap bar deads than doing squats. Once I had 600 pounds, my legs were massive and strong.
I love trap bar deads. I mean, because it's a perfect hybrid between a squat and a conventional deadlift. So you get more quad activation than you would with a regular deadlift, and you get a little bit more hamstring and posterior activation than you would with a regular squat. So it's this awesome hybrid movement. That's super, super great.
One of the good things about having a hex bar is, if you do back workout, you can do deadlifts and then you can just pull a plate off and do rows, hex bar rows, and then you can add in shrugs. So you can start off really with, you can do the same with a barbell, obviously, but with a hex bar, you get a little bit more lower back friendly workout.
Then you could finish everything off with some farmer's walks.
Right. Happy Friday. What's going on, Tamir? Gorilla Mode Nitric Stim Free Pre.
I think this is in response to what are some good stim-free pre-workouts.
Ahmad says, love your content. Thank you, Ahmad. Appreciate it. Thumbs up on the bare knuckle pre-workout.
Yep.
How do I get stronger at ring dips when I can't do one? You can't do one at all. I would probably work on regular dips first. How are you on regular dips would be a question.
Yeah, and you gotta mess a lot with shoulder and scapular stability, especially when you're on the rings, because those things can jiggle like crazy when you're on them. So, think about doing something like a reverse shrug when you get up on the things. Keep your elbows pinned to your side when you jump up on the rings, and work on just doing kind of like, so let your shoulders shrunk up and then lock everything down, hold that, and go through that really slow, this shrugging motion and pushing everything back down and seeing how stable you can get your body on that. And then as you build that kind of stability and you get the stability in your back and your shoulder and your scaps and everything, then you'll start to be able to do that. You can also progress it to where remove some of the weight from your body. So maybe just, instead of getting completely to where you're all the way off the ground, maybe just dangle your toes behind you. So have your legs bend at your knees and have your toes on the ground. And then you can work on with the rings, just lowering down. So you've offloaded some of your body weight and you can get used to moving, 3/4 of your body weight. And then eventually you can progress as you get more proficient at the movement. You gain stability and strength that way. And then you can progress to doing completely freestanding or free floating, holding dips on rings. But yeah, man, those are a challenge. They're fun, but they're definitely challenging.
Stan says, when's your documentary coming out? Good question. That's the beautiful thing about a documentary is when you start filming, you don't know what's going to happen. And our documentary started out to be a couple that's going to go from couch to 100 miles in a year. And when we got back from Scotland last year, we got back from Scotland in very early February, and we were primed to run our 100-miler in May. We were ready to go. 2 years of training. And then COVID hit. And my wife's business wasn't allowed to open. I'm working 80 hours a week trying to keep my business afloat. And the documentary started out as a story of, can a couple go from 0 to 100 miles in a year? And it turned into how COVID can nearly destroy a healthy couple, with stress. And we took on such an incredible amount of stress. And I don't talk about this on social media, but it was killing us. My wife was making hundreds of masks a day, and she couldn't do it as a business. She would only accept donations, because she's not allowed to make a profit. And sometimes she'd make 50 masks for a hospital and they'd give her nothing. And sometimes she would make 50 and somebody would give her $200. Long story short, it turned into that story, like how a couple is doing their best and are completely, two of the healthiest people you'll run into, two people that lost 100 pounds, two people that are running 10 hours a week, and how COVID nearly destroyed our life, how COVID tried to destroy our life. That's the story it evolved into, and we're still not done. We had so much stress. We were like, are we going to have to move out of our home? What if our businesses don't survive? And, right now, and they shut down all the races, obviously. And then we had curfews. You can't stay out past 10 o'clock. We can't run because we need to run for 96 straight hours. We're not allowed to run during certain times of the day. So we still have a 10 o'clock curfew. So we're trying to play by the rules and not end up in jail, with some nutbag that's going to report us for running at night. So it's going to end when it ends, but it's, we're trying to plan on filming the last bit in October, but we don't even know if we can do it then. We got a film crew in the UK. They can't get over here. The UK is like fucking the Soviet Republic of Britain right now. I don't know what's worse, those or some of the provinces in Canada.
Yep.
The UK has just gone absolutely woke nuts. So it's going to come out, but it's going to be a wild ride, that's for sure. All right. Thanks for the discount on the bare knuckles pre-workout.
You're welcome.
You posted a video from your basement doing Romanian deadlifts with a woman listening. The fact that you were talking about some random video I posted, like in my dungeon gym, where somebody had a back, like that's some potent memory right there. And John says it's 7 reps on the first set. Yeah, the goal is 7 reps. It's always 2 or more over the target. So the target on deads is 5, so it's 7 or more. But that's okay. 8 or more.
Just making extra gains, John.
It's just no big deal. Stein, Massive Iron Program are awesome. Thank you so much. I do full body workouts, or should I say lift? I do full body workouts, or should I say lifting? I've been doing for the last 4 years. Should I change up my routine because I'm getting bored of it? Well, first off, I love you because you stuck to a program for 4 years. That's the type of work ethic that'll make you successful at anything. Do you need to change it up? If you're bored, yeah, change it up. But don't be one of these people that think they have to do full body or else they're going to get nothing out of it. We get kind of programmed that way. Try something different. Just keep working it hard. How do you lose weight? Start with a calorie, because you're female, I'm assuming. Start with say 1,500 calories a day. I don't know your age. I'm guessing mid-20s to mid-30s. It's hard to tell. But I would start with 1,500 calories a day. I would weigh in on Monday and Friday, first thing after getting up, urinate, and see what happens. For a woman, 1 pound a week would be really good. Nice and consistent. Don't get frustrated by water fluctuation. And if you're not losing weight, pull back to 1,400 and watch that for 2 weeks. How should one train after being vaccinated? You know, Robert, I don't. This is not an anti-vax. This is not anti-vax spiel. I just know that approximately 70% of my clients that take the shot, they don't feel great for a few days. So the only thing I recommend is if you're going to take the COVID vax, probably plan not to train for 3 days. But on the second day, if you feel great and normal, just return to business. Robert, have you seen any family members or friends that have taken it that haven't felt the greatest 2, 3, 4 days after?
Yeah, when they first started coming out, 100 members at Sandy's school, 100 of the faculty members took it, and 50% of them the next day didn't show up for work. So most of the reports I'm hearing, I mean, neither Sandy or I are getting it. We don't need to. We're young, healthy individuals. We're not obese. We have our vitamin D statuses are good, so there's no point for us. No point. We don't see the utility in getting it at this stage.
This isn't a commentary on the efficacy of it, because time will reveal that. But it is harsh for a lot of people, so just be aware of that.
Yeah. But just like with your flu shot, I mean, if you feel like crap the next day after you get a flu shot, then don't train.
It's like giving blood. Plan not to lift for 2 days, and then if you feel great the next day, go lift.
Yeah.
Behind the neck press to military press ratio per week. Found the former hits traps and the side delts much harder. Military press isn't something behind the neck press isn't something talked about a lot. I did it for 25 years before I touched a military press.
Your shoulders didn't fall off?
Apparently not. But you know, I never let the bar go below the bottom of the earlobe.
No.
I always try to keep wrists above elbows. It's a little bit more technical of a lift, but there's no magic ratio. It'd probably best to alternate them every other week.
Yeah.
So that would be my best recommendation. I wouldn't do them both it's good to get variation, like do BTNs 1 week, military the next, and then you could back them with a dumbbell press variation. Steve El Camino, any good quad and glute exercises for peeps with bad knees? What are your thoughts on that, Robert?
Bulgarian split squats, hip thrusts, reverse lunges. Those are ones I've used with people with bad knees and have not had any complaints.
Leg extensions, I don't think are hard on the knees. The sissy squat piece of home gym equipment that I mentioned last week is really, really strong on the quads and not hard on the knees. It's only like $50. So if you're at home, I would find one of those sexy critters. It's worth every penny.
Yep. I love it, and Sandy hates me for getting it at the same time because I make her do a rest pause 50 rep burnout at the end of leg workouts. Well knows.
You know, when you said rest pause 50 rep burnout, my ears heard rest pause stiffy rep burnout. All right. My legs A. Sorry, maybe you typed that. Maybe you hit enter before you finished. Not sure. How to tell whether you need more specificity or more accessories for your lifts? Well, you should have an inherent amount of diversity built in. So basically, for major muscle groups, you should probably be doing 4 exercises per week per major muscle group. That's not a rule, but that's probably a good starting point. 4 exercises, 3 sets on average. 3 exercises, 4 sets, that could work as well. But I think 4 is okay. A couple of compounds and a couple lighter movements. What do you think, Robert?
Agreed. Yeah, I'm with you. Hook, line, and sinker on that one. There's nothing else to add to it.
If you're working hard with that and you still feel like you could do more, then I would probably add 1 more in. But,
Yeah. Is your camera like doing a little whip and like it flips you around or something every now and then? What I'm noticing is it's doing. Are you doing something on the back end, Steve, or is that just the software being weird?
well, what's it doing?
I don't know. Like I'm looking at the camera and it seems like and the screen flashing. It seems like it's rotating the image or something like that.
No, I don't see anything on my end.
Weird.
I don't know. Anybody notice anything weird, let me know. Because everything looks fine on my end. It could be the hallucinogenics in that tea you had this morning. I think your wife is poisoning you.
She might be. I mean, she's out of school now, so who knows? She might be actually trying to poison me.
To clarify, I'm not losing weight. I think we missed the first part of that. So we did. Maybe repost that up. For Robert, any recommendations for books or channels on Taekwondo? That's an interesting question.
No, first off, I would always recommend getting, if you've never done any type of Taekwondo before, any style of martial arts, I wouldn't recommend trying to learn it from a book or a channel. I mean, you might get the general gist of the movement, but the way you need to rotate your hips, snap your leg, recoil the kicks, the proper weight, like proper hand position, foot placement, and all of that, you really need hands-on instruction for that. I wouldn't recommend trying to learn it from a video or anything like that. You'll get the general idea, but the proper execution of it, the right way to do it, that's best with hands-on training. And I've never actually looked at any channels on YouTube for Taekwondo. I did it from the time I was 9 till the time it was 21, 22 when the school closed. So, I mean, I have a black belt in it, so I don't need to go take a class now. I mean, I know all the stuff if I want to do it here. I'm not going to be looking up channels on YouTube for it. If my teacher still lived around me, I'd probably still go train with him if possible, but he's in New Orleans. So,
yeah, I'm sure YouTube is what YouTube is, and I'm sure there's really good channels out there.
I can do some homework on it and let you know, but I haven't, nothing off the top of my head.
Well, I would say, Dungeons, go out and search and maybe ask Robert, hey, I found this guy, he looks reputable. What do you think? And I'm sure Robert could watch 2 minutes of the video and tell if the guy is legit.
Yeah, just if you find something, Dungeons, the supplementengineer@gmail.com, just shoot it my way and I'll take a look at it.
Hey, what's going on? My 500-pound life. Good to see you here. I was just peeping at your Instagram a little while ago. Matt, curious as your thoughts on intermittent fasting for weight loss. Thanks, Matt. Intermittent fasting, basically what we talked about earlier with Beef Lewis, about struggling on the weekend. A lot of my clients, I recommend they try to do pretty much that on the weekend. Try not to eat a lot before 5 o'clock. Yep. If you're gonna be a little bit cray, save your calories for dinner and after. But it's just a calorie regulation tool, and if you're doing it for weight loss, specifically for weight loss, I think it's a brilliant approach because honestly, most people eat way too much during the day. Like, I see the habits of people that come to me. I'm like, y'all eating like 600, 700, 800 calorie breakfasts, even 500, 600 calories. Like, you're really rocking it out of the gate. I mean, I might eat, what I eat for breakfast, Robert, is maybe 300, 400 calories, not super heavy. Mm-hmm. And I have nothing against it, eating more than that. But I just tend to see a lot of people eating a lot out of the gate. Adding creamers in their coffee as well, doing a snack in the morning, having a bigger lunch, and then boom, you don't have much left for dinner. Yeah. And they tend to be hungrier at night, so I'm a big fan.
Yeah, it can be effective. I mean, it's from the research side of things, it's been shown to be as effective as just a regular calorie-controlled diet, so it ultimately boils down to personal preference. Are you somebody that likes to eat and can, not feel completely starving by the end of the day if you're eating regular meals throughout the day? Or are you somebody that experiences, better hunger regulation. You're able to stick to your diet more by just restricting your eating to a certain period or a certain window during the day. It really this is one of those individual preference matters. It certainly can be effective, but you also have to take into account personal preferences and predilections.
Yeah, and if you're a binge eater, it's generally a good choice. But look, the bottom line is, if you're going to do intermittent fasting, you got to make sure you're pretty much eating mostly good quality foods, because it'll be almost impossible to overeat.
Yep.
So just be careful. Be cognizant of food choices as well. We'll be watching the new Netflix zombie action movie Army of the Dead with Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista is one of my favorite actors. I'm like, everything he's in lately is just entertaining, which is nice, because he's one of the few people that can carry a movie and bring a degree of entertaining, just pure entertainment. Have you ever smoked tobacco?
Nope.
I was in the military, Robert, at Fort Lee, Virginia. And Fort Lee is 20 minutes from Richmond, Virginia, and right near Philip Morris. So Philip Morris would give soldiers cartons of cigarettes for $3. Things they never talk about on social media. Hook the soldiers. Even soldiers, I don't see them talking about it, but they would give us cartons of cigarettes for $3. And when we'd be out in the field for like a week straight, and you had nothing to do, no TVs, no phones, just bullshitting, no beer, no nothing. Yeah, we'd have some cigarettes. Just boredom. You knew they were bad for you, but nothing else to do, so.
No, my dad's dad smoked cigarettes. My dad's brother did, and my uncle on my mom's side, her sister's husband, all smoked, but never did. I was never even offered it. And the funny thing is, they were sitting there smoking. They're saying, "Don't ever start this. Don't ever do it," while they continue to smoke.
Yeah.
So, but no, I've never smoked. I've never inhaled.
I feel bodyweight and resistance bands are underrated. What is the best way to do resistance band? If you're going to do resistance bands, you're probably better off doing rest pause work. Perhaps, or something where you restrict rest in between sets.
Do like a 50 or 100 rep burnout on bicep curls or something with them like that, and that'll be a good way to finish off your workout, or tricep extensions or push down, something like that.
I just gave you the wrong impression with the beer blowout. It's okay. It's hard beef because, like, I don't know anything about anybody that's posting generally. So when I respond to questions, I try to respond to them in a broad way, in a broad sense, and not specifically at someone. So, like, I have to, read them at surface value. So I understand.
Yep.
And don't have leftovers. They've lost 100 pounds together just doing that with no excessive cardio. We missed the first part. YouTube looks a little bit crazy today. So I'm not sure who you're referencing, John, so I apologize. I don't know what's up with YouTube today, Robert, but I feel like we're getting a little more half questions than normal.
Yeah.
I'm late as always, but going back to the start, I hope you two and everyone here is doing well. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Muscle strain remedies. I'm in early 30s, been dealing with pec, now trap issues seemingly forever. Adam, there's a point you come. Adam's super strong. He's a client of mine. There's a point you come to where you got where you just got to strongly consider periodization. Yeah. Like, I went big for 10 years. And when I say big, I mean heavy. And I survived the game, but a lot of people won't. You got to consider periodization at this point. It's kind of a deflating of the ego, but over time, you got to find a way to let that pressure valve loose.
Yeah.
And you have to consider, is it going to be worth it? Like, in your 40s and you're taking a pounding already, that means, you've probably been pretty strong for a while. So sometimes when you pick up recurrings like that, you need to give them a break for a long period of time.
Yep.
And he says, also getting some creatine now. We appreciate the support. Where's mine? Oh, mine's right here somewhere. Yep.
Super sexy tub. Super sexy tub.
I'd rather just go out in the street and look random.
Okay.
See here, I feel like we're missing something. I know he had a question earlier, or comment earlier. What is going on, YouTube? You're messing us up. Thanks. You're welcome. I find I get a deeper squat by pointing toes slightly outward, but is it bad for your knee? No. I mean, I don't know. I don't know your squat stance, but the biggest battle I have with people is getting them to open their knees to the point where it matches their toe angle. So you want your toe angle natural. You don't want it exaggerated. But as long as your knee angle matches your toe angle, you're in good shape. How important is mind-muscle connection? I hear certain people talking about this often. Well, here's the spectrum. When you're doing a compound movement, you focus on form. The less intense an exercise gets, the more you can focus on muscle. If you try to focus on mind-muscle connection and turn a bench press into a chest isolation movement, you're probably going to be doing it compromising form, and that's not a good thing. So trust that a compound movement will build muscle by building strength. And then as you move down the spectrum to machine chest press, pec deck, or even push-ups, you can focus on the muscle, but you don't have to over-focus. Right. So do you focus on any mind-muscle work, Robert, when you're doing your workouts?
I mean, for isolation movements, yes, because that's the whole purpose of the isolation movement. For something like I don't know, pull-ups or something like that. I mean, yeah, I'm imagining like driving my elbows down and making sure my back's doing it, not just my biceps. But it's not like if I'm doing trap bar deads, I'm not thinking about just using my quads to move the bar up. I mean, you load that son of a bitch up and you just go. So it's all exercise dependent, like you were saying.
Yeah, and that's the thing to remember. Like a lat pull down, I focus on driving my elbows and shoulders back at the same time.
Yeah.
Same with a seated cable row. Because I want to be hyper aware of my form because that'll maximize the recruitment. On a push-up, though, I wouldn't say I focus on the mind-muscle connection, but I focus on feeling the chest, making sure I can feel the chest working.
Yeah, activating with the chest, or just making sure that you focus on it a little bit more than just trying to move the weight up as much as possible.
Is training abs core important? Well, you have to have a reasonable degree of core strength just for overall health and fitness.
Yep.
But does that need to go beyond for the average lifter, say ab wheel rollouts or rolling planks or whatever? I don't know. I'm not sold on that for the average lifter. What are your thoughts, Robert?
I mean, it's like you said, important for general health. I include some ab training in my weekly training volume. If you're doing a lot of compounds, you're going to be recruiting the abs and core to a certain amount anyway. So it just, I look at it as everything. You need to get every muscle as big and strong as possible, even little dinky muscles like the calves.
I'm just checking something out for a future question here to make sure I'm educated. And I think I found it. I think I'm pulling up an image. I don't know. I think I got it. Okay, we're good. What's this? I think I took the Moderna Vax, but it was a lot better. Didn't have to stop training at all. That's good. Yeah, I would say more people, definitely a lot higher people than not, have been conked out by it. 55-year-old advanced lifter, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday schedule, bench, deadlift, squats, knee joints killing me. Please help. Tim, I'd have to really look under the hood there. I really would. There's so many variables: programming, exercise form. I'd love to help if you're open to coaching. Head over to my website, $80 a month. I can give you as much help as you can stand. But just on this, there's so many things under the hood. It's like my engine's not running right. We just have to look at things.
Yep.
And Tim also said a second shot knocked him down for 3 days. Something ironic, the last ad I saw while watching this video was a Detroit-style Jets pizza ad, kind of like, nah, that's not right. I don't know how they schedule things. Maybe we talked about pizza in one video. I mean, obviously YouTube is scanning the videos. So Larry Wheels versus Schoolboy. Pin, stop snoring. I think the dude on the left is Schoolboy, some kind of arm wrestler. So I don't know anything about the arm wrestling world.
I default to Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone.
God, I hate searching for things because you never know what's going to come up right on the internet. At the age of 13, he went on to the gym. It's blah blah blah. Urban legends. Who knows? Half truths. No idea. Larry Wheels. I know very little about him. It's not my.
I know he's a really strong dude. That's about the extent of my knowledge on Larry Wheels.
Yeah, and I don't know what this is. Are they going to arm wrestle? They're going to have a dance competition. Maybe somebody can school me. I'm not trying to be.
They can have a slap boxing fight or something. That seems to be going around and be popular these days.
That's the sport I'd like to see come back or really make mainstream is the towel snap in the ass. Get some women on there because I like women and just do it nude and like if you hit them in the ass cheek, you get a point.
Watch it with that toxic masculinity, Steve. Watch it.
Oh, that's right. Microaggression. I think eating a lot in the morning comes from the breakfast adage, most important meal of the day. Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on folks, Robert, to eat breakfast, right? And are you one of these guys like me that's like, I'm not really ready to eat much yet?
No, I have to force myself to eat if I want to eat anything, probably before 12 or 1 o'clock in the day. I just wake up, I'm not hungry naturally. Whereas Sandy, she wakes up and she could eat the entire buffet at Shoney's without even trying.
If I get up and eat a bit, like when we were in Scotland, one of my favorite things to do was to have a Scottish breakfast, just because it's just part of the experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, we would go out and hike all day long or run all day long. So, we were kind of hungry when we got up. But that was the exception. If I had to get up and eat a typical American breakfast, I'd go back to bed.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the viewers. Never inhaled, Robert. Very Clinton-esque.
I wondered if anybody was gonna catch that subtle little thing I said there. But no, in truth, Terrence, I actually have never smoked or inhaled any substance like that. Never done a vaping stick, a cigarette, marijuana, cigar, pipe. And I'm really boring. I realize that. I've never done any of those kind of boring substances or the trippy substances. I enjoy my bourbon. That's about it.
So, what was I was gonna say something. I forgot. Before we move on, guys, we got about 5 questions left. So if you want to get something in, get them in now. Just a final buzzer, last 2 minutes response. But never inhaled. I forgot what I was gonna say, Robert. I just forgot. Have you seen Stuber, Robert? Have you seen Stuber? Stuber
I have no idea what that is.
Hilarious. Watch this with Dave Bautista and that Indian guy, and he's a Lyft driver or something. I don't know whether it's Uber.
I watched the original Blade Runner last week, and I watched Blade Runner 2049 for the first time this week. And Bautista's in like the first 5 minutes of the movie. He was fine in that, and he's good. I like him as Drax in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought the second Guardians of the Galaxy sucked. But yeah.
It's a good movie. Apocalypse Beats. How did you get rid of a weight loss plateau? Weight loss plateaus, you have to analyze the variables. So, first thing you gotta troubleshoot: are your calories consistent? Even with my clients, they'll be like, "I'm plateauing this week; it sucks," and then I'll go look at their calories, and there's 2 days where they went over. So first off, you need to look in the mirror, look at your calories, and say, "Am I being consistent?" If not, the solution is consistency. The second thing I would look at before lowering calories is improving overall food quality. So if you're eating anything with flour or sugar, ditch those for replacement foods. If you're eating any processed food or fast food, know that there's a chance that they could be over in calories. That's a high possibility. So maybe replace those for whole foods. Don't drop your calories yet. Are you getting in at least of an hour movement outside of resistance training? If not, try to bring that standard up to an hour. So we've done 3 things without changing calories. Are you resistance training? Resistance training is an important part of the equation. If not, add it in at least 2 times per week. So there are 4 things that you need to analyze before adjusting calories. And if those are squared away, then maybe a little bit more cardio, maybe a little bit lower calorie intake. Anything to add, Robert?
No. They do have a follow-up that's a little bit further down the bottom of the comment section. It says, I weigh 238. I'm 17 years old, 29% body fat. Is it possible that I could recomp? Don't even worry about recomping at this stage. You get the fat off, drop your body fat down.
I'm going to be honest with you. And, if you're 238 and 17, there's some foods in your diet that aren't good choices. There's too much fast food or junk food. And I'm not telling you need to bury it, but you're on a bad course right now, and you need to really seriously analyze. You probably don't need to restrict calories or count calories, but you probably need to swap out or make better choices. I'll just leave it at that. All righty. What do we got? Advice to keep as long as possible in the powerlifting game. Periodize. Don't try to lift heavy every week. Have off seasons, where you're muscle building, and then have peaking seasons. Don't go heavy. And know the risks, because heavy is fun, but it can catch up to you. So you got to listen to your body. When you get hurt, you got to allow time to recover. Dave Bautista was dropped on his head. Thoughts on concentric and eccentric? Not really.
Go ahead.
In general, the belief that like eccentrics are magic, like the magic, and time under tension is a magic, and it comes from eccentrics. Just try to control your eccentrics. I say either you control your eccentrics or the weight controls you. Don't get overly worried about them beyond that. Don't slow them. Don't do anything crazy. Just control the weight. And on the concentrics, on your compound movements, focus on your form. Don't focus on speed. Just focus on doing your form naturally. And on other movements, it's exercise specific. You can focus on the muscle depending on which lift there is, but there's really nothing more to it than that. I did a squat single with 325 at RP7 like a month ago, but last week I could barely do. Why are you doing singles and doubles? That's not how you build strength. So I'm just being real with you. You got to stop doing that stuff. You're 17. That's not the path to glory. You got to be working with. You got to power build for a while. You got to build strength with volume. this idea that you got to do singles and doubles and triples, forget that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Super advanced lifters can have its place, yes. But this is not the time for that. Love your channel and these streams. Thank you for your support. Whoops. Who is your powerlifting hero example when you're into competing? Doug Young. He was kind of a no bullshit guy. You familiar with Doug Young, Robert?
No, I'm not very much into the powerlifting scene.
I
have very, very cursory knowledge of it.
Yeah, I mean, Doug Young was kind of like a bear.
Eddie Cohen, Mark Bell, and Steve Shaw.
I'm a small fly in the turd pile of life. Let's see. Here's Doug Young. Just, I don't know. The guys from the 70s, they were like, I mean, look at that chest.
Beastly individual.
I mean, you look at his workouts, like, talk about overthinking things, I need to do all this, all that for chest development. Doug Young was like smash rock, you know what I'm saying? I sent a question about standards being 1 rep max versus working set weight. I'm not sure what you mean. Robert, am I missing anything here?
No, YouTube probably didn't populate the original question.
Okay, just send it to me. Send it up again if you can. Is it healthy for a 13-year-old to weight? No, not at all. That's a fast track to disaster. It's not healthy at all. It's not healthy for an adult male to be at that level, because men that are 250 and above lose an average of 7 to upwards of 10 years off their life.
Yeah, maybe if they're like 6'5", 6'6", like that. If you're that tall, yeah, we can go 240, sure.
But we are learning more and more about childhood obesity is even more dangerous, and it kind of like destroys the road before you actually get on the road, so to speak.
They start getting plaque buildup in their arteries and everything. It's not good.
All right, Robert, let the war begin. Creatine causes hair loss. Change my mind.
I've been taking creatine for almost 10 years. I have a nice, robust, thick, full head of hair. There is zero considerable amounts of evidence. There's no evidence, no considerable body of evidence showing that creatine causes hair loss. Zero, none.
None. It's scientifically not. There is a reason that people believe it does. Robert, can you touch on that?
There was one study that I believe assessed DHT levels in men, dihydrotestosterone, and that has been implicated in male pattern baldness. But DHT is also a fairly anabolic hormone, so it does a lot of muscle building in the body too. It's not solely relegated to causing male pattern baldness. So yeah, no, there's zero significant evidence to show that creatine causes hair loss. There's none. It's a myth, and if you want a further explanation, go purchase the Master of Iron creatine class, master class that Steve and I did. We discuss an hour and a half about all the good things and bust a bunch of the myths about creatine.
And the only thing I'll say, Raphael, I wasn't sure if you're being facetious, but if not, anybody that's telling you that, I would unfriend them from life.
Yeah.
For the average lifter trying to build muscle, is it enough to just focus on eating in a surplus, adding weight or reps each workout, or getting enough? Is it enough to focus on consistent eating, consistent progression, and sleep? Yeah, I mean, it is enough. It really is. Hard work and consistency in any hypertrophy coach, from Dr. Mike to Brad Schoenfeld to Robert Shanitsky, the guy in purple, will tell you the same thing. So
if you want to be optimal, you add creatine.
Right. Robert, who is the guy in purple?
That is the man in purple.
Who is the guy in purple, Robert?
I have no idea who that is.
You're in purple.
I am in purple, but I'm trying to figure out what the hell the cartoon you got there is.
No, but Anthony Rojas is saying, who's the guy in purple?
I am.
That's Robert Shanetsky, the supplement engineer. He's on every Friday with me.
Yep.
And Robert is my partner in the massive line. And Robert is somebody I worked with for a long, long time. One day I met Robert and said, "Hey, Robert, guy that writes stuff, you should write stuff for a living, Robert." And
Yep.
Robert began to write stuff. And then he realized he was the most impressive brain on the planet in supplements.
Yeah, basically, I'm a mechanical engineer turned giant supplement health fitness nerd that does a lot of writing and consulting throughout the sports nutrition industry.
Yeah, Robert is going to end up being like Lyle McDonald #2 without the, wild temper,
Abrasive personality.
medical emotional breakdowns. Like he's been going off for like 3-4 months on Dr. Mike and reps in reserve, and it's like it's kind of cringe at some point. But Robert's going to end up being like the Dr. Mike or the Lyle who doesn't have mental breakdowns, because even though Robert's fit and in good health, they expect you to be like Ronnie Coleman, and when you're not, they're like, "Who's the guy in the purple?"
Agreed.
That's Lyle McDonald. I want a body like Barack Obama.
I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody wants something. You want to have a body next to you in bed like Barack Obama, or you want to look like Barack Obama? I'm not even going to Google what he looks like with his shirt off, because I don't want that in my head. I'm sure in my opinion, calories are not all created equal. Well, I mean, on micro levels, like taking in sugar is not the same as taking in, fruit with fiber. It'll digest slightly differently, but some people respond better to diets with lower sugars and flours and processed food, less crap. Their body just feels more efficient at that. But I don't know.
I know where Terrence is going with this, and I agree with the sentiment of what he's saying. I think the wording needs to be, it should be all foods are not created equal, but calories, I mean, a calorie is a calorie. So the sources from where those calories are derived is where the difference is. So 40 calories in the body doesn't know the difference between 40 calories. If it's 40 calories, if you distill something down to 40 calories is 40 calories. What there is a difference is the apple versus the candy bar. That's where it is, because one has vitamins, minerals, fiber matrix, water, all of that. The other one is just pure sugar. So it's the source of the calories, not necessarily the calories themselves.
The body
I'm playing semantics here.
Yeah, but the body is not going to run the same with 200 calories of sugar as it is 200 calories of fruit.
Correct.
In a bigger sense.
Yeah. And I said I was playing semantics. But I agree with the sentiment of the statement.
Okay. I feel great after the shot. I didn't feel anything afterwards. Show us your feet. You know what, Anthony? What I'd like to do is shine up my boots, turn them sideways. Just kidding. No feet. Let's see. Wait. I could show you this. Hold on, Robert. Wait. I don't know if I can't find it in a second. Then post from you. It didn't show up. Facebook hates me sometimes. One of the worst things, what I hate on social media is when somebody posts a picture of their feet. Like, I really don't want to see your feet. All right, Robert, I found it. Ready for the excitement?
I feel like I need to cover my eyes.
No, it's in running, they got these toe socks, these knitted toe socks.
Mm-hmm.
And this is me trying to put it on for the first time. Like, your little toe has all these rough, jagged little nail edges and stuff if you're not a perfect little toe guy like me. And trying to fit your big, fat, man stumps in these toe socks, I was like, forget this.
Yeah.
This is too much. When I took the shot, I felt completely normal the next few days. So can I still train? Yeah. I mean, you got to understand something though. When just because you feel okay doesn't mean your immune system isn't slightly temporarily compromised. So one thing you don't want to do is anything super crazy that might lower your immune system further, that might lead to you getting sick. Have you ever gone into the gym, Robert, after a layoff and just absolutely killed it and then ended up sick? I've done that a couple times over the years.
No, I mean the longest layoff I've had since really starting training has been like 3 days, maybe. I've never gone really long. Sandy has, but no, I can't speak to anything like this. Sorry.
Tony says, do you have any Reg Park style workouts? I have a good 5x5 on my website, Super Living Today. It's more of my 5x5 style, probably more like Reg Park's than any of the other 5x5s out there. You heard the man, show the feet, dog. It's a weird world where kids call men dog and bro. Can I be called dog bro?
Bro dog.
Bro dog. What
Bro
up,
dog.
bitches? Should strength standards 2 times body weight squat be a 1 rep max or working? So a strength standard, that's going to be a 1 rep max. Like if somebody says a strength standard is 2 times body weight squat, that would be a 1 rep max, not a working weight. So the issue with it being a working weight is if you look at a 1 rep max calculator, each rep you add to a set adds anywhere from 5 to 7 pounds on the heaviest set. So you could do, say, 350 for 5 or 350 for 10, and that's a variance of 75 or 25 to 40 pounds on your 1 rep max. Thank you, Anthony. I started my journey with calisthenics. Would love to stick with calisthenics. I'm not really into powerlifting. Would love to continue with these movements. Can I get no? When I say no, the answer is yes, but no. What do I mean by that? Like the guys that are really look great with calisthenics also generally do lifting. And because they train hard at calisthenics, they probably train equally as hard at lifting. And you have to be almost gymnast level with calisthenics to really see value over time. Is that fair, Robert, or am I just being a curmudgeon?
No. I mean, we got to see what is your definition of getting big? Can you build muscle and look like you lift with doing calisthenics, progressive calisthenics, weighted calisthenics? Yeah, you absolutely can. Are you going to look like somebody that's going to compete on the Mr. Olympia stage? No. So I mean, if you're looking for help on how to do that, I mean, that's kind of my wheelhouse, Luke. So I mean, I'd like to help you if you're interested. You can shoot me an email. If not, then that's fine. But are you going to get like Big Ramy big or Phil Heath or Ronnie Coleman big? No, but you can definitely build a decent amount of muscle and look good at the beach when you take your shirt off. So it's what do you mean exactly by get big? So
yeah, I mean the bottom line is you're gonna have to work as hard as you would have to with lifting. You have to take it seriously, know your progressions. Guys like Ross Enemator or the big calisthenics guys, they know their progressions. They know their lifting, their activity like a science.
Yeah.
And they're also ripped, so you can see their muscles. So they might only have 15 and a half inch arms, but they look a lot bigger because they're ripped.
Right.
So
yeah, there's a science to getting bigger with calisthenics stuff. You got to know how to progress it properly and know when to get tweak the program and do things like that. Most people don't know how to do that. That's kind of what I enjoy doing is like getting the most out of the least of what equipment and stuff like that possible. So
if you have a client who has never lifted before, would you spend the entire hour on technique or split the session in technique? Well, here's the thing. If you have a client like you're a trainer and you're at the gym and you got an hour, you need to put them on low on exercises that have a easier learning curve. Probably need to start them on machines and dumbbells. Don't be one of these sycophants that believes, you have to run everybody like, we have to do cult of barbell. You will not be strong like Thog if you do not do cult of barbell. Like, no, like the first thing I do is we do some really moderate body weight stuff, do some really machines and some really light dumbbells, because you're going to have to spend time building up their neuromuscular, strength. There's going to be some neuromuscular adaptation.
Yep.
And you got to try not to kill them or get them hurt the first month. So anything to add to that, Robert?
Nope.
If I'm training someone from scratch, it's going to be a while before they touch a barbell. Yeah. Despite what all the fit tards on social media act like, it's going to be a while before you touch a barbell.
Yeah.
We need to kind of go slow and not get you injured. Okay. I have a possibility to access a gym once a week and free access to do a calisthenics park, and I want to sprint too. So can you have any suggestions for me to maximize both strength and muscle gains? You got to train using one of my programs or a similar program to build strength. It's the same for anything really. Progressive overload over time with a good exercise selection, and sprinting. The stronger you get in your legs, the more it'll help your sprint speed. That's all I can really add to that. Strength training really helped my sprint speed. How much would Haggard be able to deadlift? I would say 650, Robert.
Sure.
All right, sure. Teddy Klink. I don't know, my first question disappeared. I'm in a deficit and adding more cardio every week, but I'm not losing weight. We'd have to look at the numbers, Teddy. So I'd be happy to do that. You can head over to Instagram, @BenTheBarman, slide into my DM. Thanks for answering my question. You bet. Robert, you have changed my mind. Robert, you win the prize. And do you have any 4-day upper lower programs that can be done at home if I have a squat rack and dumbbells?
Yes.
My 4-day upper lower on the website can be modified, and I'd be happy to help you do that, Amanda. So yeah, you can modify that program. I mean, anything. I'm assuming you don't have a barbell. If you have a squat rack, I'm assuming maybe you do have a barbell. Just slide into my DM on Instagram, Amanda. And yes, kids, I know what slide into my DM means. It's just humor. But send me more information. I'd be glad to help. Robert, who wins the T-shirt today?
Let me go through.
Who wins the T-shirt today? I'm scrolling through. I'm kind of leaning towards Greg Duvier because of the Dave Bautista off topics. I don't know. I'm going to leave this up to you, Robert.
I liked the one, your favorite fictional character. That was a good one.
Who did the favorite fictional character?
No, that's what I'm scrolling through.
Where is it? I don't know if I could search.
Probably not.
Let me do a search here and see if I can find fictional. Whoops.
Should give it to John because he says he watches all the Final Scoop stuff and he loves my content. But
where's John? John Drain? All right, John Drain, you get a T-shirt.
No, I'm just no, that's not okay.
No, I'm telling John Drain gets a T-shirt.
There we go.
So, John, you can message me on either Facebook. I know you're on Facebook or Instagram. I'll send you a T-shirt. And Robert,
there we go. Giannis also had a good one. Robert, agree about Luke Skywalker favorite legend storyline. Damn, that's a really good one. Could be where Luke restarts the Jedi Temple and all of that stuff. That was a really good series. I like the Admiral Thrawn trilogy. That was really great by Timothy Zahn. Man, there's some really good ones. When Jason goes to the dark side, that's an intense one though. The Yuzhan Vong, I felt like they could have trimmed that series by probably 2 or 3 books. That lasted like 15 or 17 books. That probably could have been trimmed by like 3 or 4 at least. So yeah.
All right, guys, we're out of here. Robert, what are you doing this weekend other than getting liquored up?
Let's see. Sandy's high schoolers are graduating tonight, so she's going to be busy doing that. Tomorrow she has a couple of graduation parties to attend, so we'll be hanging out. Sunday we're having some friends in the neighborhood over. I'm going to be doing some pulled pork, mixing up some delicious old fashions, making some homemade spinach and artichoke dip, my homemade salsa, lots of good things like that. So yeah, weekend we've got some training. We'll probably do some blackberry picking because the blackberries are finally in, the wild ones that are in the green belt behind our house. We did that a little bit last weekend, but they weren't fully in yet. That hard winter freeze that we had around Valentine's Day really screwed everything up for that. So more blackberry picking in the wilderness with the wife and halfling tomorrow too.
All right, I am doing a run tomorrow, and then thank you, Jeff. And then on Sunday, I'm going to see the Milwaukee Brewers at Cincinnati Reds game in Cincinnati, and it's going to be the hottest day of the year here. So the first game I took my wife to, she's Australian, for those of you keeping score at home. We were 2 innings in, and we got up and went to get our old hot dog or whatever you had.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the 3rd inning, she goes, "Is it done yet?" Like, we got a long road ahead.
Yeah.
Long
Sandy was the first time I took her to a baseball game way back in the day when we were dating.
Yeah, so just give her the card and let her walk around and buy stuff. All right, guys, we're out of here. We appreciate you tuning in. We're here every Friday at 11 Eastern. I'll be here with the Purple Guy every week. We've been here every Friday with the Purple Guy, and we'll continue to be here with the Purple Guy. And Lyle McDonald, my friend that joins us. And if we missed any of your questions, because YouTube was really kind of crazy today, hit me up on Instagram at Ben the Barman. All right, thanks, Robert. We'll talk to you next time.
See you, Steve.